Ahead of August non-farm payrolls, we are expecting 75,000 on the headline number. Consensus and the forecast both at 75,000, the prior 73,000. Remember, however, it was the revisions that came just moments after the actual headline number came out the last time we did this that really sent the market to the downside. All that said, BLS currently having some data problems, apparently. So we may or may not actually get this employment data coming out in under a minute here. But this is going to be a very important data point for the market going into the next Fed meeting, going into inflation data that we have coming up, as well as the next benchmark and the next kind of stop along the way. For Fed Chair Powell, Adair's beside me this morning. We are about 5 seconds away here, Adair. So we'll grab this number and then we'll allegedly grab this number and see if we do actually get anything here at 8:30. Again, BLS apparently having, there it is, 22,000 is what I'm seeing right now. So below estimates here, 22,000 versus 75,000 expected. Again, the range that was out there as late as yesterday was anywhere from 0 up to 100,000. So 22,000 definitely on the low end of things. Unemployment rate, a little bit of a tick to the upside, 4.3% versus 4.2% was the actual estimate on that. Government payrolls negative, which is the first time I've seen that in a while. So the market not going to like this again. 22K versus 75.
Yeah, I feel like I need more time to process that. Really, that is, I was thinking we'd probably get a little bit lower than expected, but not that extent. I do expect as well that this number, combined with the data issues they were having, might lead to a Truth Social post in our near future.
Sure.
We know that Steve Myron yesterday during his testimony, he is the nominee to take that vacant spot in the Federal Reserve. He was saying that the BLS has a flawed way of collecting data, so those comments might be used and brought up again today is what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they got the plugs all plugged back in here in time. I'm just looking at a couple other things here. U.S. average earnings year over year, actual 3.7%, so a downtick there as well versus a forecast of 3.8%. Again, 75K, the headline number, versus, or sorry, 22,000, I should say, versus 75,000 was the estimate. 4.3%, so a slight tick higher on the unemployment rate versus 4.2%. That being said, going into this number, I'll double check right now, going into this number, the short end of the yield curve, the lowest level in a year, so the 2-year and the 3-year, lowest levels we've seen in more than a year. So we are seeing a really, really sharp steepening, the long end back to 496, 495, depending on when you look on it. So we'll double check on the yield curve as well, guys. But Sean with the day off today, Obi's in. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And bad news is good news. Because the chances of the rate cut probably just went to 100% on this move for sure. Well, we'll see. It'll be like 99 point something. It was 97% chance. We were already going to get a cut. And then now it almost seems like it's certain. So, well, welcome Friday. Market initial reaction was down because it was misses across the board. But let's be real. The Nasdaq now ticking higher as we're almost like we're 2/3% up on the Nasdaq overall and just slightly gaining on this move. But wow, Broadcom, you've got to be kidding me. Nobody cared about the beat aftermarket right when the earnings came out. It's like it didn't matter. And then all of a sudden you get a $10 billion mystery client or customer, and this thing's up 14% now. So that's what it was kind of what you thought would happen, which a good quarter a good quarter would be a nothing burger until this announcement. Maybe it's OpenAI. That's the speculation that it could be. But ramping up some competition against NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is actually down and Broadcom up. NVIDIA down 1%, but Lululemon, unfortunately, we'll discuss this and we'll discuss Figma because guess who was buying Figma yesterday on the way down? Kathy Wood, obviously.
I thought you said you bought some.
For me? Figma?
I thought you were going to say you bought some.
Oh, hell no.
I was going to say, Figma's definitely on my watch list on the day today,
the
too.
other way,
well.
though. You're not thinking long Figma, are you?
No.
Okay.
I'm look at the chart. This thing.
I didn't think
Here's the thing. The IPO price on this was like what? Like 40 something? Let me just make sure here.
It wasn't 37?
1 second. It'll be 33 per share.
33.
33 per share. So I remember trading this on the IPO, and then a few days after the IPO, and then all I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, over the next couple of months, how can I take Figma into 33?
Right.
How can I? Because we understand that like the underwriters probably only really like one price, and that's 33.
Yep.
They're probably only going to defend one price, and that's probably 33. So the question becomes, okay, you can see the chart is absolutely beautiful. It's been a beautiful swing short. It's been nothing but selling after that first crazy day. So shout out to all my swing shorts who are still sitting in this position from IPO day 1, day 2. But oh boy, that $50 level, I'm going to be looking for that coming in today. That pre-market action is already taking out prior day's lows. I was already looking for that, so that's more confluence for what I'm looking for here. I'm curious to know earnings day 2, right? So let's just throw up an anchored on that earnings reaction right here and see where we can potentially look for sellers right now, all the way up at 56.24s. I don't know if we're going to get all the way back up there, Neil. I'm looking to take some inventory in and through 50, but I'm even open to taking it below 50 as well. Like show me that we're actually going to crack. Yep. Show me that we are really, taking a beeline to $33. So that's what I'm looking for on Figma. But I don't know.
We also got some revisions here.
Okay.
Which I threw them in the chat so everyone can see. Like June numbers were revised down by 27,000 from 14. So that's that ADP, the payrolls numbers. So, and the revision's not nearly as big as last time, but look at the market sort of react to this. And like initially down, and now we're absolutely flying. 0.8 now we're looking at. And you say that as literally as Figma continues to go lower. The other thing we get to talk about is Elon and another pay package. This time, again, heavily filled with incentives and objectives that can make it huge again, but he has to meet some pretty aggressive targets. Tesla's up a couple of points on that, but overall, it's a pretty good start to the Friday. I just never really want to get too crazy when we have an 830 number like this. If we were we knew we were getting a cut anyways, like how much does this really change anything? I don't know that it does. We all expect Powell to cut, and now we just clearly think it's an absolute lock right now. And just if you look at something like the Russell, that's what's moving almost the most here. The Russell just went, which makes sense, about $2 on this move. I wouldn't be chasing any of this just yet, but Broadcom leads the way. And I'll get this one out of Sharif's, he'll be here for the midday, but he's not here right now. And I was going to say this to him, but I actually, and I'm not a Cowboys fan. Everyone knows I'm not a Cowboys. Ooh, thank you, Randy. Banana time, appreciate it. I don't like the
just the right amount of almost ripe.
I would say it's maybe
tinge of green on there.
Tomorrow would be better than today, but I'm not coming in to eat this thing on Saturday. The Cowboys should have won last night. I'll leave it at that. CeeDee Lamb needs to catch the ball. They should have won. But my suicide pool, or Sean and I, our suicide pool is really happy because we put half of our entries on Philly last night, so we were sweating it out for sure. But good start to the day with the market. And Dijon Mustard says bananas are going extinct. I hope not. I like bananas.
I think so. Bananas, don't forget, these bananas are man-made. They're not going extinct anytime soon. Like, have you seen the original natural bananas? They're really tiny, full of seeds and everything. So it's just so it's this is extremely GMO'd, but for good reason.
It's going nowhere.
It's going nowhere.
Except literally into my stomach.
Right.
Let's go back to the desk.
All right, Neil, you called it. Here it is, 99 on the dot, 99% here in favor of a cut going to a couple weeks out for the Fed meeting. If you go to the end of the year now, we're all the way down to, better part of 50 basis points, or 75, I guess, on the long end, if you look at it from that standpoint, from where we are right now. But a little bit of a bounce here for the Nasdaq currently. Just to recap, if anyone's joining a little bit late here and missed the actual number, there it is, 22,000 versus 75,000 expected on the August non-farm payrolls number. Slight uptick, 4.3% versus 4.2% for the unemployment rate. The revisions, if you remember the last time around when we did this, was what actually kicked off the selling on that individual day, and everyone was shocked. Went from 200,000+ down to 20 or 10,000. Just massive revisions. What I see right now is 2-month payroll net revisions subtracts only 21,000 in total from both June and July. So way, way less than what happened the last time around when we did this, which is not that bad.
Yeah, and I actually think maybe that plus, of course, now this very, very likely chance that we get a rate cut is maybe why the market's bouncing a bit here too, right? We initially get that reaction there. The number is much lower than expected. And the market realizes, hey, maybe this is long-term a good thing. And we get that push up. But you're right, I think the revisions were really on watch, especially given the kerfuffle, for lack of a better term, that happened last time. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see what the response to this is. I think certainly, though, at least a 25 basis point rate cut. And I think now probably the people who are pushing for 50 will probably push a bit harder after this number.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for a truth, as you mentioned, on the latest jobs data here. Michael Noss coming up here in a couple of minutes. We'll get his take on seasonality, going from the summer doldrums, summer holiday season into the fall and into the end of the year. We do typically get some volatility returning to the market. We'll get to him in a couple of minutes, guys. But a whole bunch of things on the earnings front really standing out this morning as well. Lululemon, one of those, really pointing to increased competition right across the board with Alo and a whole bunch of other younger, more hip, I guess, for lack of a better word, brands. But I don't know about you, but I mean, every time you go by a Lululemon store around here, it's still just absolutely packed.
Yeah, they're pretty busy. I have a friend actually who works at Lululemon, and she's always said, they're doing tons of brand collaborations. They've done limited collabs with companies like Disney. That was, I think, the most recent one that I remember. That was a while ago, though. So, and they do pop-ups in universities as well. So I think beyond their stores, they also try to have brand impact in another way. But yeah, I think the guidance here with regards to tariffs was the real issue, because they did miss on sales, but guidance by far was I was looking at these numbers and I thought there was a typo. It's really rough.
Yeah, one of the interesting things when you compare a Lululemon to Gymshark, for example, Gymshark has gone all in a big way with influencer marketing, and Lululemon has kind of dabbled in that a little bit, but nowhere near to the extent that Gymshark has, or even Alo is getting into that a little bit now as well. Day lows here, though, guys, right now for Lululemon.
With a 4% decline in same-store sales year over year, it's not a good look for Lulu, unfortunately. And we joked around. It's like they needed some kind of a Sydney Sweeney moment for them. And then, as Brendan says, they haven't really been going that path. Well, unfortunately, it's with the results.
I think Lulu makes some great clothes. I'd love to see some Sweeney, and the Sweeney bid in Lulu, of course.
Of course you would. Well, I think lots of people would, but
I mean, AEO has been great. AEO today, even. I'm watching it today. Yesterday was great on day one.
Got to $19 yesterday. AEO.
Beautiful. And the thing is, the move's been building up. We got the presidential seal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing too. Like momentum matters so much, right? So AEO's got momentum, and a lot of times that's just going to mean, that's going to mean continuation because you have people chasing the move. Well, what move are you chasing in Lululemon? You're chasing the short trade. It's down 20%. I had to pop out to a monthly chart on Lululemon to find where we could be headed, because we're down at 165 on Lulu. The 200 period on the monthly is the next theoretical support at 161. And look, it's not like it's theoretical support. It was 2028 highs, and then right here, 2019, which that's right before COVID. That was a key level at 161. It didn't hold during COVID, but this is where I think you can get an SSR bounce style play. It's about the only long I'm looking for on Lulu would be if it gets down to that 161, which is a big level on the monthly. Then I would think, okay, let's go for a mean reversion play to the long side. Otherwise, I think just usually short the pops in a situation like this. Admittedly, I kind of like Figma a little bit better as a day two play and continuation than Lulu. But yikes, there was nothing really to point to salvage these earnings. And you're more than the expected move. It was 12% we were expecting. We end up 20% to the downside. So usually I'm thinking continuation, even if that means sitting out a little bit of a bounce and then fading a curl here on Lulu. But we are ready for someone who always has some technical analysis for us. Our good friend Michael Noss is ready on a Friday.
The scale of this is nowhere near comparable to the U.S. Yeah, we'll get to Michael in a second. I was just reading through the Canadian jobs data as well. Negative 65,500. So the Canadian employment lost 65,500 jobs last month. The forecast was for a gain of 5,000. The prior number was negative 40. So 2 months in a row here, we're up to more than 100,000 jobs have been lost in this country. So this economy not doing too good. Let's bring in Michael Noss here on a Friday. Get some seasonal talk, Mr. Noss. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I missed you guys Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long weekend, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Speaking of seasonal, it looks a little bit seasonal behind you in your backyard at this point. I mean, it's crazy how we're already starting to get this shift in temperature and shift in the overall feel outside.
Yeah, you wake up one day and it's, tank tops and shorts, and then you wake up today and you got to have a hoodie on. It's just reminds you, Canada comes back and reminds you that you're living up here.
Always. Yeah. When it comes to the market, talk about seasonality here. What do we need to know coming out of those sweaty summer months into the fall?
Yeah, and in particular, right, I think everyone's heard September is a bad month, right, generally speaking, and it is true, and I've got a little chart for that. But I wanted to dive in a little bit more into just talking about the election cycle, right, this 4 years election cycle that happens in the U.S. I'm not a massive seasonality guy, but there's really two areas that I focus on. And one is the end of year kind of Christmas stuff, which, right, speaking about changing weather, is getting way closer and way faster than people think. The end of the year, because that makes sense to me. It's taxes, it's window dressing. We'll go over that when the time comes. But the other one that makes perfect sense to me is this election seasonality and what the market normally does. Because if you just take the U.S. markets and you split it up to every 4 years, an election year, a post-election year, the midterm year, and then the or the pre-election year or the post-midterm year, you get this pretty consistent trend. So this is, shout out, I got this from a Nautilus research, and this is, I think, 1950 to date, what has happened on average in these particular years. And the black line being, your average S&P 500 move for that period of time, and the red line being what we've done so far, right, since the election year and onwards. We all remember that April dip, and now we're pushing higher. Tracking okay, obviously increased volatility to what we would normally expect, but if this holds true, you can kind of see what's next for us, and that might be after a big push up on that first half of the post-election year, coming into the end of the year, and specifically most of next year, it looks a lot choppier, right? There's like breakouts and breakdowns, and none of those really hold, and you just kind of move sideways for almost like a year and a half before that pushes up. Now, the reason that I like to focus on this, and the reason this makes sense to me, is because it's around politics. It's around the people who make the laws, who make the decisions of what is going to happen going forward in the country. And it would make sense that no one really wants to rock the boat too much before this next election. And you see that if you go to the very far right-hand side of the chart, right before the election, there's a choppy period as well. So it seems before both elections, you expect kind of choppy period while no one's really doing anything crazy to upset anyone on either side. And then when you get the election done, then people start to pass new laws and make new changes. So that's kind of one evidence for that we could see a little bit of chop going forward. This next one is the same chart, but this is the VIX as opposed to the S&P 500. And we know the VIX is just, it looks like a heartbeat, right? If you zoom out on the VIX, there's periods of high volatility and periods of low volatility. We are definitely in a period of insanely low volatility. It's interesting how well this year has tracked the normal year. If you go back for this 2025 year, potentially going into the end of the year, there is a period of increased volatility. That doesn't necessarily mean we're tanking, but it could be what we saw in the first chart, which is this really violent kind of chop back and forth. It looks like we're going to break out. It looks like we're going to break down, and then really no price action, but no price action happening in a volatile way. The next chart is simply just a bar chart showing the average percentage gains across each individual month. So this is the 12-month cycle. You can see most of the time we're above 50, right? There's only February and September. Yeah, there we are right there in September, where there's, I think, like a 48 45 to 48%, depending on how far you look, chance of being up, which means there's a 55 or more percent chance that we are down this month. So we're just seeing a lot of things that are saying, hey, maybe not, looking too hot for potentially this year. But at the end of the day, we have to look at charts and we have to look at price action. So the last chart I have is one of just that, of just price action. And we're seeing this RSI divergence. And an RSI divergence is essentially just meaning that each new high we're making in the S&P 500 is taking a little bit less momentum or a little bit less kind of oomph or excitement to make that new high. It's more just floating up as opposed to really powering up is what this indicator is telling us. So a lot of things pointing that September and onwards into the end of the year might be not rough like April was, but might be a little bit of do nothing. So what does that mean for us as traders? It just means that we're going to be in a little bit more of range trading, right? I'm going to, instead of trying to buy breakouts, I'm going to try to buy pullbacks. I'm going to look for levels, look for stocks that might be beaten down a little bit too much that are going to bounce. And then also when I'm in winners and when trades are moving for me, be a little bit quicker just to ring that register and take that money off the table, spending a little bit more time in cash. So nothing here says it's the top of the bull market and we're going to crash. All of this is just averages. So there's obviously a chance that we do none of this and we just rocket higher. But just a lot of warning signs for me to, maybe play a little bit on the back foot, be happy with the insane year we had so far, and just try to churn out a little bit of gain going into the end of the year.
I want to go back to this first chart that you put up here because it's a fascinating concept and a fascinating theory to kind of follow and to, as you said, actually see what has happened with the red line since this prior election. Talk a little bit about, first of all, what makes up the black line, just so everyone's clear.
It's essentially, it is the average. If you took every 4-year period and you averaged it out and made that one single line. So, there's going to be some years that are way above this and some years that are way below it. But if you just said, I'm going to average every 4-year cycle from when the election starts, it's one thing that's actually really good about doing this stuff in the States as opposed to Canada is there's a very specific cycle for these elections. If you averaged out that all of the years from 1950 to date, this is what that average would look like. So it just shows that most of the time we follow a pattern somewhat like this. Of course, if you just go to COVID, right, that's going to be wildly different than what you see on this chart. However, most of the time, and that's, in my opinion, enough data to make it a little bit worthwhile. It's 75 years or so of data, that the black line is the average S&P 500 gain for that period of time, again, separated out for that 4-year election cycle.
Yeah, always going to be variables. And I mean, no one saw the tariff, sell-off or the tariff panic coming, and that is on this chart as well. So if we look at this from the standpoint of the red line is what has happened, we're essentially here right now. If you look forward, as Michael was saying, there's a higher than normal on an average basis chance that the next foreseeable future here, next definitely months and months and months, could potentially just be choppy.
Yeah, and if you look at where that chart finally turns up at the end, after that kind of mid-election year, that is going to be roughly when, I think it's November, when they have the other elections for their lawmakers and things like that. And it's, it's a cheesy saying, but it is true that the market likes that certainty. So what we're basically saying is that between now and when this midterm election is over, there's going to be a lot of polls of this side's winning or that guy's winning or this guy's losing. And then the fact that there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to want to stick their neck out and really rock the boat, you have this sideways type of chop. And just like after the election we saw this year, when the election was done, we had this kind of monster move in the market. That's generally what happens. So that's why I really like this particular seasonality chart, because it's not just, in September we're down. It is more, there's a very specific reason for this, is that the market is waiting to see who is going to win and what side of the election. And then you get your move from there where people start to take those post-election bets of which sectors are going to do okay and which stocks and things like that.
We will look forward to the coming months here because I think there's a lot that could be resting not only on the midterms, but also on this Fed cycle as well and what's going to come of interest rates in the next few weeks here. Great stuff as always. Michael Noss, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday.
I'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Thanks always, Michael. And I think it makes sense. You know, we get into this certainty of back into some rate cuts, and the market, the exuberance has already gone into it. Although the market continues to go right now. One thing that we have to observe this, because as the Qs make another high, there we are, NVIDIA and AMD, no mas. I mean, slight bounce at least on NVIDIA, down 1.5%, but like through yesterday's lows. And then AMD advanced, we're back to advanced money destroyer on yesterday's lows, down 2.25%. This is the exact opposite of what you're seeing in Broadcom, which is now, well, we're almost at $350, like $349 is some size on it, but 14% to the upside. So you have a very different look going on here for some of our favorite chip makers to the downside. And what also would be interesting, I just saw in the chat there, Daniel B. And, you know, I'm not always trying to call people out when I do this, but even when we haven't started it, get in this habit. See that $MU, that $AMD, Florida Trader Throw, Tesla, Rivian Millionaire. Come on, give me the $sign in there. If we can all build that habit, what happens is when we go to look at something or talk about it, you know, we're going to be focused on sometimes the stocks that we're trading in the moment or what seems to be hitting on scanners. But what you guys are interested in or talking about in our community, if you just throw the $sign in there, and I didn't do a restart on this, so I should do the fresh start. We throw in $sign, and then what is hot in the chat just organically will pop to the top of this list. And we always have a good visual cue to see what it's, and it's not the same thing as like what's gapping up the most or doing the most volume. It's just another thing that we can look at, A, to give you guys, you know, coverage of what you're interested in, but B, just to see, hey, what is hot? It's a good proxy there. So, you know, NVIDIA, as I see people put some symbols in there, I'm gonna throw in, I don't know, let's just go SOFI, because why not? That was a good stock yesterday. And then at some point, SOFI will pop in there because I just threw it in. So Toast, TSLL, Alibaba, why not? So nothing's really standing out. Tesla and Lululemon makes a lot of sense. I mean, Lululemon getting absolutely smoked. And Open Door still on the list, but looks like Lulu's taking the lead right now. That's the only thing. I mean, it's leading in percentage to the downside as well. So I guess it's got a couple of leads. Unless you guys can show me something that's down more than 20% today. I'm sure there is somewhere, but yeah, we appreciate it if you guys always put that $sign in there, just so we can keep that. The more data it gets, the more interesting it is, and the better. The more meaningful some of those more meaningful it gets, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the more of you vote for something like a Tesla, whereas say only 5 people voted for Tesla, it makes more sense for us to go over something that a lot of people voted on. But going back to what Michael Noss was showing us, I like that chart for like cyclicality and then going into pre-election year. I just have the SPY chart pulled up here, so I really like that. I was like, okay, it's more confirmation. You're telling me that trending chart is going to continue trending going into the end of the presidency here. So I like that. I like that look. We're already pushing fresh highs once again. So again, yeah, a little bit of a panic here in April, but we've only been buying up and aggressively just grinding day by day. We can see finally there are some stocks that were trailing behind, but now finally are catching up to their all-time highs. We were wondering what they were doing so low. We see that Apple with a little bit of a bid as of late. You can see that's almost back up at its highs. Remember, we're looking at a monthly chart here. Another one that's at fresh highs right now is Google. Google was lagging behind pretty decently for a good chunk. All the way in April, you can see all the way down at 150 is a decent chunk away from its all-time highs, now raging all the way up with some of those I guess restrictions being lifted, or not really restrictions, but you know, there was question as to whether they were going to sell their Chrome and some other parts of their business as well. Now they came out and say like, okay, they can keep that. Obviously, that's gonna come in as positive sentiment. But I guess that's what the market was waiting for, because as soon as that news kind of comes out, we were already breaking out through that 190. I think it was 198, I think, or something like that. This 175s a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, and I think it was that 200 breakout as well just a few weeks ago. That was really coming in, but that swing has been working out really, really well on Google. But yeah, I like the look. The market's looking pretty strong here. We're digesting this morning number really, really well. It was just a few days ago we were trading at 23,500s. We were having a little bit of trouble with 23,500s on the Nasdaq, and now we're blasting up above this 23,800 mark on the Nasdaq as well. So yeah, market's at all-time highs. Should be an interesting end of the week. I got a few names on watch, but nothing too crazy. We have earnings names that have been acting pretty decently. We got LULU, we got AVGO, we got some day twos as well. We saw C3AI a little bit lackluster during the later end of the day. It had a strong move yesterday, but gave back a decent chunk. I think that $15 level is going to be interesting.
And of course, Figma.
Figma as well, Figma day two earnings, and American Eagle as well. Yesterday, I got pretty chopped up on American Eagle in the morning session, but I knew I had to be long. I knew I had to figure out a way to get long, and that I didn't really execute too well on that. But you can see how it closed yesterday. We'll go to AEO here.
On the high.
Very, very strong on the highs, and even in the pre-market right now, going down to say like a 3-minute chart, you can see we're holding prior day's highs pretty well and pushing and attempting for some fresh highs once again. So is there that anchored view up in there? I don't think I have that in there on this chart, but you can see we're extended above that as of right now, held it really well on day one. That's all the way at 1770s as of right now. No idea if we're going to come all the way back down in there, but it seems like structure is starting to step up a little bit after a nice base. We know that like sentiment was building on American Eagle already for the past couple of weeks coming into earnings, and then we got that final kind of blow off. I'm curious to know whether or not we find price acceptance higher and then continue, because
with the squeeze potential,
20%, almost 20% short.
Over 20%.
Over 20%.
Over 20%.
I checked yesterday; it was like 18 something.
We had one source had 23 or 24. It's about 20. Those are always estimates when you're looking at the short float, but the important thing is the momentum that's behind it right now, and you just gotta. It's not that you're chasing momentum, but that's what you do when you're trading. And you mentioned Alphabet. Just a reminder, that was a positive story. It wasn't just for Google, Apple as well. And Apple's got a flat top break today.
Yeah,
that's the best way to put it. You can obviously see aftermarket on the Google news, and then double top yesterday. You throw up the daily as well. This is it's a little bit of a consolidation, not a huge consolidation, but the last couple of days on the Alphabet news, breaking 240 here. There's room. You're not going to see all-time high today. Yeah, I don't see any way that it goes that far, but yeah, kind of. Not blue skies, but not a lot in its way if it break that 240 early here. And there's a little bit of size right now, and it's very, very close to doing so. But we have a watch list to get to, our free watch list, everybody, with lots of earnings names. It's all about what's in play, because that's what we care about as traders. And so far, so good for the market. But when you look at that watch list, it's not all big. We talked about Lululemon going the other way, and then of course we already mentioned Nvidia. NVIDIA doesn't seem to care about all of this exuberance, but let's get into it back at the desk.
We were just talking about the Canadian jobs data here. It's not good at all. 7.1% unemployment right now in this country. Continues to go in the wrong direction. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that. Absolutely free every day. Adara does a great job on the watch list. It's free. Go grab it. Description right now has the link, or you can just copy and paste that. Works too. All you need is your email address, has everything you need to know in the pre-market daily, comes right to your inbox. Broadcom, top of the list this morning, as it should be. Top of the day currently here for AVGO, about to take out 350 and a half. This is one of many positive headlines here for Broadcom this morning, teaming up with OpenAI on their own chip. So move over NVIDIA. Here comes AVGO.
Yeah, they're reportedly teaming up. I mean, what happened was during the earnings call, CEO Hock Tan basically teased that apparently one prospective customer has secured over $10 million worth of AI racks. Then the Financial Times comes out and reports, hey, that customer is OpenAI. But I mean, beyond that, it was like a solid report either way. They did beat on EPS and revenue here, adjusted earnings of $1.69 per share versus $1.65 expected. Sales also a beat, almost $16 billion worth of sales versus $15.83 billion expected. And their Q4 sales guidance better than expected. We also had CEO Hock Tan saying that they're expecting their outlook for AI revenue for fiscal 2026 to improve, quote unquote, significantly. We know the street loves AI revenue.
Broadcom has come back to life this year, even going back the past couple of years here. But AVGO is not a stock that moves like this on a given intraday basis. Yeah. you know, we look to NVIDIA and some of the other high flyers for that. But this is a huge move, guys, for Broadcom today.
It's a monster move. And what was crazy about it is like everything, like if you looked at the half an hour, like after market and with the market recap show with Sean and Adara last night, you know, it was pretty much what you expected. Hey, look, we had a good Q and blah, 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 and the stock was doing nothing. If anything, you know, most of the moment was headed down. And then all of a sudden we get this, you know, mystery customer competition for NVIDIA. And it's not just that you were higher, you're blasting higher. I'm going to give you a look because I don't think this does it justice. Let's just go to Blue Ocean so you can see like the evening session. Like when the Blue Ocean, like in the overnight session started, like first of all, you were already going. Like if you look at it past the earnings call on very light volume, you were trending up. So you were already trending up. And then all of a sudden, when things opened back up in the overnight market, there was just all kinds of insta buying. Like everyone was trying to get into this thing. So it's a little hard to want to chase on a Friday. When I'm looking at the chips today, I think the way that I want to play this is I want to fade NVIDIA on this news. I think that's going to be an easier road to hoe, or whatever the terminology is for that. Probably said that the wrong way. I have no idea. You look for it. If it holds VWAP, I think you're okay here. It's so far, you're now what, $10, $12 away from the volume weighted average price, up 15%, and really on essentially the one headline for Broadcom. Like it's just, this is extended. And if you look at the last time it had a day like this, or days like this, like you had one here, eventually did a bit of reverse, it was able to close at highs. It was able to close at highs in December. So I want to see it hold on to the volume weighted average price. But my play for this is to look to fade NVIDIA. And I look at NVIDIA, and yesterday and the day before that, 172, it's been a key level the whole way. So if there's relative weakness in NVIDIA, then I have a level to short it off of the 172. And on top of that, when I can zoom in, I can see this consolidation zone here at about $170 as support. So that gives me another place. If we pop in and start curling and we don't get 172, I can have an early short at 170 off of this Broadcom news. So yeah, I'm likely to end up playing NVIDIA short side on this news, but wow, what an unbelievable move for Broadcom. Didn't see it coming. Even who knew this? That's why it was a mystery customer, and that announcement has it absolutely flying. I can't chase up there.
Yeah, pretty broad action in the morning here.
Yes.
I was looking for that 350s, man, and I'm just sitting here like AVGO, slow down, stop. Come on, that 350 already breaking in the pre-market, 352.55's current high. You can see this is anchored VWAP all the way down here. So we are very, very extended off of the anchored VWAP, as well as the intraday VWAP sitting at that 341.69 right now. So extending off of both VWAPs coming into the open. That 350 is going to be key for me. I already coming into the morning from last night, I was like, all right, if this thing can hold and push, maybe we see 330s, maybe we see 335s. Oh boy, we're already at 350. So you know what, an all-time high push on a strong large cap name, one of the top market constituents. Sure, it's not necessarily part of the Mag 7, but it's definitely in the top 15 tickers when it comes to the distribution for, I think, both the Nasdaq and the ES. I have to make sure about the ES, but the Nasdaq for sure, definitely within the top 15 names. Yeah, no, I'm curious. I want to know whether or not we get that aggressive continuation. That 350 is going to be very key for me coming in off of the open. Yeah, a little bit of a surprise, and the market's taking it real well. And it's not like we don't have market tailwind as well. Neil, the market tailwind is definitely there off of this morning's economic number. So that's bringing in a little bit of the bid as well. But you're right. Some of these other names, some of these other chips, like NVIDIA, like AMD, they're not really looking the same. Look at AMD, straight puke city to the downside, and then NVIDIA as well, more selling off than any sort of buying happening right now. I don't really know about Intel, but we can just straight up go to SMH to see that that's a little up. Okay, I thought it was going to be down, but where I was going to go, because TSM and Micron are both very very
Micron's
strong
super
as well.
strong, and with Broadcom up there.
TSM and Micron.
Yeah,
right?
The SMH is able to hold because it's basically everything except for NVIDIA and AMD is strong today.
NVIDIA is not in
those two are taking it on the chip, but everything else is pretty strong in chip land. What's not strong is Lululemon. Lulu is poo-poo this morning.
Oh boy.
Yeah, down big time here and continuing. I mean, we got to, what is this, 165, trying to bounce right now. A little bit of green candle starting to form here, but it's been all red ever since that report came out last night. Not good. As you mentioned early this morning, the tariff talk coming into play here for Lululemon going forward, really hurting the forecast. Darren and I were just saying, I mean, I still swear by Lululemon. I've tried Gymshark. I've tried other things. I still swear by Lulu.
Yeah, I was saying to you, I own 2 products from them, one of which was a gift and is a headband, so I don't really know if I can comment, but I will talk about these numbers. So we'll start with the actual report, which was mixed. Q2 EPS here did beat estimates, $3.10 versus $2.90 expected. Sales, $2.525 billion versus $2.538 billion expected. As I mentioned to Sean in the market recap yesterday, they had some comparable sales problems as well. I believe the U.S., or sorry, Americas, so North American sales, were down year over year. Guidance. Q3 GAAP earnings per share. I did refer to this staggering number earlier today. $2.18 to $2.23 they're guiding. That's well below estimates of $2.94. They missed on sales guidance as well. They lowered their EPS and sales guide for fiscal 2025, and they did say they're estimating a roughly $320 million impact on tariffs, and that goes all the way to fiscal 2026. Operating margin. They also mentioned the removal of the de minimis rule, which isn't something you'd really expect to impact Lulu. But here we are. I saw off the top like 5 analyst downgrades, which is, even for a report like this, pretty significant.
Yeah, increased competition as well. A lot of people going to Aloe. I don't know if
Athleta, I know there's that one too.
There's a few now that come into play. But if you zoom way out, this is COVID. This is 2020 coming into play here this morning, guys, for Lululemon.
If you stretch really far back, then you can go and find some levels for Lulu, which the one that I should have said, and the chat's always undefeated, Lulu is a lemon. That's what instead of Lulu is poo-poo, I should have said Lulu is a lemon. Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit here today. You know, it's not to kick anybody when they're down, but at the end of the day, as Brendan said, like you gotta zoom pretty far out to go into the COVID dip to find the last time we're down here. As I was saying before, on the monthly chart, the 200 period is going to set up at 161 here for us. So there's actually a level down here that I'm looking for bounce play on Lulu, which would be at that $161 for a little bit of a mean reversion play. Overall, like what would I be looking for in terms of like a better bounce? Like a swing bounce? I think you need something very distinct. I'm just going to point to like this low last year. When this bounces on the monthly chart, like this is the thing. What I like about a monthly chart here is for anybody that's like trying to pick a bottom in Lululemon, when you look at a monthly chart, it kind of gives you very quality entries. It gives you an idea of how patient you can be at some of these lows instead of trying to wick the bottom. Like how much time when this bounced off 275 and then almost doubled in 2022, you essentially had 2 months. You closed down there, and then you opened the next month, and you had a lot of time to get it under $300 as it was bouncing off the 50 period. So I feel like that's the kind of bottom that you want to try to grab here, where it shows you a few weeks or a couple of weeks of an opportunity here in Lulu. So at least for today, unless it gets to 161, I'm not sure that I traded. If I'm shorting Pops and a bad name, it's probably Figma instead of Lulu, because this is I like the continuation play on Figma. It tried to go yesterday, off the open. It made a bottom, and then just proved that it could not get through the post-market low. Double topped it. So as far as I'm concerned, come back in. The first place I want to look short is 54, and then I would look again at about $56. So I'm shorting Pops and Figma instead of Lulu.
Yeah, no, I like that look there. I'm a little bit more leaning on Fig than I am Lulu as well. But this is the weekly chart here on Lulu, and you can see the pre-market levels. We're coming down into some levels we have not seen, oh boy, since those March COVID lows from 2020. So the low from there is 128.85. Sure, we're pretty far away from there right now. 165.09 is trading in the pre-market, but $35 is not that far stretched in terms of what Lulu is capable of doing on even an intraday. Again, it is an earnings day one, so with the relative volume that it has been doing, almost 35 to 40 times relative volume in the pre-market session today. So yeah, we're definitely going to see some spice coming out of this one off of the open. I'm curious to know whether or not it stays tight on the way down. Look at this nice tight downtrend that it's been having. Pretty, I guess, not as spready as you would think a name like Lulu would be, but again, I remember this stock when it was above like $400 or $500. Now it's back down to 165s on its way down. You can see how we just saw on the weekly here, kind of pulling back from its former glory. We were kind of consolidating in the 300s for a while. We did attempt to push towards 500 in 2023, but yeah, coming right back in to the lower end of this consolidation and breaking down as well. Multi-year consolidation lows. So a little bit of a continuation coming in with those earnings. I'm curious to know whether or not we break that 130 with any sort of distinction on day today. But yeah, a little bit of a short bias on Lulu. Let's see if that comes into fruition off of the open. This very tight downtrend does have me interested. I think it just giving us a very clean definition of what the trend is right now. And when that definition is broken, I want to know what happens. That's the story that I'm looking at on Lululemon today.
We were just talking about this Elon Tesla pay package. If you missed it this morning, potentially, I mean, let's just call it $1 trillion, because why not? It's going to come in 12 tranches of shares based on market cap of Tesla as it continues to grow. So this is going to take time. I remember, if you go back, I don't even remember how long ago it was now, probably 15
2018?
years. Was it?
I think the original was 2018.
10 years ago, feels like longer. But when the first, or the details of the first one came out, everyone was having a meltdown saying, this is crazy, no chance this is ever going to happen. And let alone, not only did he do it, he did it in a shorter amount of time than everyone was expecting him to do it, and then some. So why don't you give them the details here so they understand? Yeah,
let's get into the details. So basically, as Brendan mentioned there, apparently this plan could be worth up to $1 trillion, but what are the details? So again, if they reach 8.5 trillion minimum in market cap in over the next 10 years, then he'll get all 12 tranches. The 11th and 12th tranche will only be given to Elon if Tesla reaches 7.5 trillion and then $8.5 trillion worth of market cap, respectively. Now, apparently, I was seeing reports as well. There is a bit of a clause in this that implies Elon Musk will have to scale back his political activities. But that was, again, I just reported. I'm not sure the level of confirmation with that. But one thing I want to say, too, that I was just talking to Brendan about off camera, the wording of this headline is pretty interesting. The idea that Tesla will be urging investors to vote in favor of the package, because Tesla bulls on X are very much in favor of this package. They're very much pro-Elon. They're very vocal. They work as a group. They advocate, I would say, pretty effectively. So, again, unless we have a situation where someone else sues, this does seem like it's very likely to happen for Elon. Now, I also think, too, and this was something I was saying to Neil off camera, Elon Musk maybe has been less motivated in recent years to get the timing of his production. I talk on and on about the Model 2. Yeah. So I think hopefully this will serve as an excellent incentive for him.
That is the key. They have to keep him motivated to continue leading that company. And this is a challenge, I think. He seems to be the type of person that needs a challenge too.
Oh, yeah.
And one that's just I mean, he's going to space, for crying out loud. One that's just so far-fetched and so outrageous that no one else
He does well with that.
Take it on, yeah. So. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of when, guys, not if.
Pay that man his money. Oh, that's what it's all about. I can't do what's his face. Rounders is a great movie. You've seen Rounders?
I don't think so. I have not seen it.
The best poker movie ever made. Okay. Yeah, I think it's fair to say, but yeah, you should check that out. But look, at the end of the day, the focus seems to be on keeping Elon more focused and keeping him happy and getting some of these targets that are always out there for everything that is going to drive growth met. Because we get a lot of talk and we haven't had a lot delivered. That being said, hey, when Tesla has been doing this little weird thing where, we go down for a few days in a row, bounce off of a key level, and then we go up a few days in a row, and we're making higher lows essentially into 360 bucks. So we just put another one in. So unless we're at 360 bucks, I want to kind of look long here today. On Tesla, prior day high is the first place I want to look, 342. You don't really know how the jobs number is going to come out. And obviously that makes it a little bit less likely to be able to get into Wednesday's high. But as I did for the rest of the day, it's about making decisions at the right point. You want to try to get in a liquidity point when trading. So the first one I can see is obviously that 342, because if you look at what happened the last time we were up here, 47 to 49, it was a topping tail wick. So that's an area that I don't want to chase the stock. Certainly if it were to go into like 345 or something, that'll be the volume weighted average price. That's a place I might buy the dip. As long as we're over 42, like that's the line I really liked. Thought we could get that. Actually thought we might have a chance of getting that if we had a bad number. Or I guess, a bad number was good in this particular case, so the other way around. But until we see VWAP break, it's 45, it's 42. I'm looking long on Tesla.
Yeah, I like the way the daily chart is setting up on this one. We've been talking about this one for the past, I guess, couple of months. This price compression kind of winding up, and just I think it was last week, we got that push into 350 and a smaller pullback, and we were talking about the higher lows that we have been making on every consecutive push up that we've had. And once again, that last 350 push gave us a higher low here as well. So all said and done, I do like this for a potential push of that 368. Don't know if that's going to come in on the day today, but we are building good structure, kind of higher lows at the very least, kind of pushing up into that, what you may consider maybe a flat top push, flat top break here on Tesla. I like the look. I'm going to be still a little wary around that 350. It seems that 350, there's a lot of business being done around that 350. So I'm going to wait for that to kind of surpass. Even right now in the pre-market, you can see the pre-market high is 348.35. So we didn't quite make it to 350 just yet. But if we're going to continue the bit of trend that we've been having over the past few days, a little bit of a step up, a little bit of a step up, and another step up today above this Wednesday's high as well, almost coming into Friday's high here. So week highs pushing up here on Tesla coming in off of the open. Curious to know, do we continue to push that 350? Is today the day we get through that 370 finally? I don't think so. I think we may need a little bit more oomph, but you can see in the pre-market session, we're already doing 2 times relative volume. So when it comes to a Mag 7 stock doing something like 2 times relative volume, I think that's something definitely significant and something that I do want to keep my eyes on just in case it does something outlier.
Before we go back to let's talk about DocuSign, Bob the Dog, thank you for the super chat. I'll read this. I don't know that I'll be participating, but good luck to you. Let's short Broadcom together via the ETF AVS. That is I don't think it's leveraged. I think it's just a bear ETF. So you go long that to go short the stock. Who is with me? So look, I'm not looking short on Broadcom today. I think I wanted to short NVIDIA on that news. But good luck, Bob the Dog. There's always a trade. That's the thing. Like you can go in either direction as long as you time it right and get yourself a good entry. In almost every single stock, there's a long somewhere and there's a short somewhere at some point during the day, regardless of which one is better than the other. One that was a big long in the aftermarket but gave some back, DocuSign.
But I mean, we're bouncing back right now. $82 seems to be holding. Not a lot of volume behind this so far this morning, but yeah, decent report for DocuSign. Q3 guidance as well, better than expected, which was, I think, a little bit of a surprise. More and more, I mean, in my daily travels now, I'm seeing DocuSign become the norm.
Yeah.
There was a period where, Adobe has a product that a lot of companies were using to sign documents. You can send it exactly the same way as DocuSign remotely sends documents to other people. So good to see her for Docu.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just the Q3 guidance that was good. The fiscal 2026 guidance was excellent as well. We'll get into it here. So they reported EPS 92 cents per share adjusted versus estimates of 84 cents. Sales $800.64 million versus $780 million, so nice double beat there. They did beat on Q3. It was a nice Q3 sales guidance beat here. $804 million to $808 million they're expecting versus $796.55 million. That was the estimate. And then they also raised their guidance for fiscal 2026. They're now expecting sales between $3.19 and $3.2 billion versus estimates of $3.16 billion. Now, one thing, the only metric that I'm seeing, and I just kind of skimmed through the report, that they seem to have missed a little bit on, or at least declined year over year, was non-GAAP gross margin, but it was pretty small, 82% versus last year's 82.2%. If that's the only issue with this report, it seems like a pretty solid one.
Just be aware, White House advisor Hassett making some comments on these job numbers this morning, trying to understand, I guess, why it wasn't what they expected. So saying that could possibly, or they expect anyways, a revision upward on this month, which would be the first one in quite some time for jobs data. Number of analyst moves just coming through as well. AVGO, one of those, William Stein and Truist Securities going to 365 upgrade for Broadcom here. Not a ton of volume though, guys, on DocuSign today.
No, and it's, look, if it wasn't for Broadcom, this would have made the 4 picks we had yesterday, or the 4 names in the 4 earnings names that were in the poll. I like DocuSign and thought it would be the best, but obviously Broadcom took the cake there, and DocuSign is up 9 points. But I don't like where I don't necessarily love where it's sitting right now, because part of the reason why I would have thought I would have a good chance at extension was the ability on a good sized move to close over the 200 period or get over the 200 period moving average and be there right now. Instead, it's failed it twice. It failed it in the aftermarket, and now we're pulling back in underneath that $83 level. And it's the definition of, there's your dip, and now it's diddling in the middle. So unless it gets out and about over 83, which maybe that could happen, but on this kind of volume, I don't want to be part of it. There's 83s on the offer. Here, let's just show you guys what DocuSign looks like. Why I don't want to. There's no way I would touch this in the pre-market. This is the liquidity right now. If essentially 83 on the offer and 82.60 on 82.6 is on the bid. Now you can see because my head's in the way. That's not conducive to taking a breakout trade at 83 because it could break 83 and the bid could still be at 82.6. And then one tick down, and you're getting out here in the 82.40 or something on one print down after a breakout. So I'm sitting this one out. Don't want any part of DocuSign today. If I take a breakout, it's not going to be in this name. It's a hard pass for me on DocuSign, but I'm willing to come back to it. If we close the opening range over 83, I can see some continuation.
Yeah, no, I like what it's doing in the pre-market session, but I knew it had earnings, but didn't really have it as one of my top names on the docket just yet. But I think there's other names that are definitely a lot more interesting, like LULU and AVGO in terms of earnings day ones. But I do have it on watch. It's coming up into some of these prior month levels, prior month highs here as well from August. So a bit of a technical push, daily breakout maybe, but not really pushing any significant levels on a higher time frame. We just pull up, let's say, just to an hourly chart here. You can see just inside a lot. Sure, it's a bit of a gap up, but inside a lot of chop from the past from the earlier part of the year here. So not as strong as something else that might be pushing their all-time lows or multi-year lows or all-time highs as well. So DocuSign definitely maybe have it on watch. Definitely doing a strong move in the open, but I agree with Neil, not really doing anything crazy in terms of volume. You can see even though the relative volume is very, very high, 10 times relative volume in the pre-market, I'm just going to wait to see if this 86 gets taken and see what happens there, or if this 79 or this $80 level gets taken and see what happens there. Maybe throw up some alerts in and around those areas, but but definitely come back to it later is what I'm going to do if it hits some of those alerts, but definitely not on the top of my list right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, Open Door. 500 million shares traded, better part of 500 million shares traded on the day yesterday. Absolutely monstrous volume on this stock yesterday. We're getting back towards 650 right now. So huge update yesterday. Not a heck of a lot as far as news is concerned. Kind of an interesting headline. Ex-CEO Carrie Wheeler cashing out of $35 million. Good for her. Why not?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The Open Door shareholders do not like Carrie Wheeler. They, in fact, actively despise Carrie Wheeler, and they were a very large part of trying to get her ousted. Even the co-founder, one of the founders of Open Door, was also trying to advocate for her to leave. So it was pretty hostile against her. I kind of understand, selling and trying to go away, and I mean booking profit. But what's interesting, too, with this Open Door, I think specifically, this is at least like the first rally of this kind that I have experienced through in the stock market because I wasn't involved in the market during GameStop. But what I will say that I've noticed here is there's this interesting, I guess, psychological aspect where these Open Door shareholders seem to feel like they are more important for the company than the people working at the company itself. So I don't know. It's a pretty fascinating thing. We know Eric Jackson, who's been leading this push, said that he's wants to take Open Door to 82. We'll have to see if they get to that 82. But this push is really compelling and fascinating to watch.
A little ways to go.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, that said, we're at multi-week highs here, guys, for Open Door. Ton of volume yesterday. What do we do here tonight?
Well, shorts are screwed. But before we just quickly, imbalances, Figma has a 1.4 million sell imbalance. Apple has a 600,000 sell imbalance. NVIDIA has a 260,000 share imbalance. Open Door is there. It's like 180,000, but when it's done 30 million, that flat out doesn't matter all that much. Look, Open Door, we liked it yesterday for a couple of times long. I think it was just a matter of patience. Like, to me, it didn't make the note because there was no obvious levels outside of just me sitting here and telling you $6. Which I think is obvious. Anytime I see a prior high that you can consolidate off of early, then I'm going to go for the long off of that level. So if we do that, then that's just simply the $6 level for Open Door. So just a quick little recap in here, because with that sell imbalance, Figma, 1.4 million sell imbalance. This is half the morning's volume. So less of a chance that we get a shot. 54 at the open is the first place I want to look short, and then 56 as well. NVIDIA is continuing with a small sell imbalance to go lower. I like 72s, but I guess we don't have enough euphoria to get this stock that high. So 170 off the open of any kind of a pop we want. And with only 30 seconds to go, just to recap for everybody, Broadcom, I'm not chasing it, but if you tried shorting it, now 16% to the upside. It hit $357 as Broadcom delivered the goods. No questions asked. This was a surprise to, I think, a lot of people because it was doing nothing, absolutely nothing in a half an hour after market, and then it was all about the call, all about the mystery buyer, which could be, it might be OpenAI. But the last bell of the week brought to you by VinFast VFS. Check them out, but let's ring it in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. And the market is open. Okay, what's going on, Apple? Apple is not holding that 240 breakout level. As a matter of fact, it's like insta-dip on Apple. Figma is tanking. I guess that's not too much of a surprise because double checking NVIDIA here. NVIDIA, no initial pop. Let's forget about 172. That's old news. I want to see if we get a pop that's anywhere close to the 170 level. There in NVIDIA. Tesla, so much for the dip on Tesla. Does not dip into VWAP. We just tagged $350 on Tesla. Tesla only going straight up instantly, and Figma is tanking here, Obi.
Yeah, I'm just
oh my goodness, Figma's tanking.
Some orders in right now. AVGO, what a crazy open, man. I'm going to give this a couple shots here, see if it potentially comes in. Market, very aggressive push off of the open on the market here, off of the economic number and taking a bit of a pullback. As of right now, I'm watching American Eagle as well. That's taking a nice little pullback as of right now. Oh boy, there it goes. So stopping me out. So I just tried to take a little bit of I would call it maybe an opening range low break, even though we didn't really create opening range low. But looking at that 350 as of right now here on AVGO as it potentially comes in. Once again, here I liked the short initially, but if it didn't really give it to me right away. Oh, just kidding. This thing moves like crazy. That's the only thing. This thing moves like crazy. So, got to size down a little bit, got to be a little bit more wary, and give it room to work. I want to give it a lot of room to work here. So breaking that trend from the pre-market as of right now, coming into VWAP. VWAP's just shy of 346 on this chart right now, and I have on my other chart 345.60s. So yeah, specifically 345.60s. See if we can get down to VWAP. If not, this 350 might act as a little bit of turbulence as of right now. Might be an interesting level. Don't forget, we are gapped up quite significantly on a stock that's already been trending up, and these are all-time highs. So I do want to stay a little vigilant if I'm going to short something that's at all-time highs, right? LULU catching a little bit of a bid coming in off of the open here, so that's really nice. 163.98 is the session low, currently trading at 166.91. So yeah, coming up into a bit of a trend break here. We were looking at that trend, and I was saying, wow, this is a hella tight right here, and when it's so clean, it becomes easier to define the trend, and then this trend break can be defined much easier as well as it comes in a little bit more aggressively to the upside. Anchored VWAP all the way at 175.5. So oh boy, nothing too crazy about that distance, but that is absolutely wild. Open door, nothing too crazy here as well. Just trading within its opening range, not really catching any strong move just yet. We talked about that $5 level, and that $5 did turn pretty nicely.
I think 6 today, but just very quickly, everybody, 51. Look, I didn't get 50. I'm not going to get 54s. In the open on Figma, but it broke down underneath 51, took the break, actually got filled despite it being down so significantly, and I believe it's obviously SSR day 2 here, so I did get filled and then scalped out into 50-50, and then it broke back above, so it was out of that trade and then right back into it underneath the volume weighted average price, which I want to give to 52.5. So that's like the first thing that we wanted to the south side was obviously Figma, but NVIDIA was the other, and you're just not getting much of anything going on NVIDIA. It tagged 166.5 down 2.5%. Of course, the story being it's all about Broadcom. It's Broadcom's world, and they're competing with NVIDIA, and that has sent the stock in a tailwind. And you have an AMD down as well. That's not looking too healthy. Wanted 170s. Might just go ahead and cancel, not leave that resting order out there. Look for maybe an entry off VWAP or something lower, but just not yet for us on NVIDIA. Tesla, I mean, it broke out. We're already 351, it seems. Big time move to the upside for Tesla on that the big potential package, I should say, because it's not like Elon's getting paid yet. Big potential package for Elon. But look at the Nasdaq start to come back in here. So you're pulling back. Like, I think this is a moment. If I can get myself into NVIDIA, the other thing I wanted short, this could be some kind of a chance if this market can calm down a little bit here. Apple is churning back to that 240. So it's able to break 240. Now you're holding above the 240 level. Do like that Apple, but I wanted to make sure we actually cleared this one out and close a candle above 240. See, again, rejecting. Every single time we get above 240, we're rejecting it on Apple in a big way. Until we close above it, I don't want the long in Apple. You already mentioned Open Door as well. I'm sitting waiting for 6s. I guess we're not going to get 6 on Open Door. That stock is right back at the highs, another 10%. The shorts are so screwed on this thing.
Yeah.
Not that I have nothing against. Whatever.
It's just bad. Like Open Door, yeah. We talked about that thing being a little heavy on the short float, and yeah, that $5 level is very interesting to a lot of participants, I think. And the fact that we kind of churned there, we were a little bit above, we were a little bit below, we came down into $4. Definitely is getting some shorts interested once again, I think. And if it's just gonna if it's gonna fail to follow through and not break down even on low volume and then step up. I think it's just going to continue to keep trapping shorts and keep pushing to the upside until that whole move kind of starts to totally dissipate and unwind. And don't forget, Fabian in my ear saying it's Friday, it's free. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Of course, bringing you the markets hot and heavy every single day. Basically, I guess Trader TV keeps a decent pulse on the market. And you guys definitely want to be checking us out if you guys are involved in the markets as well. Alphabet,
We're
boy,
not in the
Google.
basement, all things Trump.
Yeah.
In the chat, someone just said, are we in the basement? We're not. There's renovations going on around here. That's why it's the all black going on. No, there's some big changes coming to the studio and to the show, and all for the better to make it look, sound better, just everything about it. I don't want to give too much away as to how it's going to look and sound, but we have some big changes coming through. And that's why you see all the construction going on, and it is all dark behind us. But yeah, you guys are going to see. This year is going to be some big changes for us. Just very quickly, I got to go over to Figma here. It lost VWAP, the first punch short good, took another short opportunity. It held 51.25. You just broke the volume weighted average price. Now I'm going to wait for $54 in case we get there. Apple is not holding 240 at all. So you can pretty much, yeah, you can see the selling that's happening here. You just cannot seem to hold on to this 240 level with any gusto. I want to see that close. And give me the close above the 240, and then I want to jump into this. Open door, as I said, is gone, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA, as the market comes back in, like down, NVIDIA is coming back up. So that's coming back into the volume weighted average price. So that's where I want to try to catch a little bit of a fade if I can. But I want to let it play into that 168 first.
Those open door.
Open door is not stopping.
No, it's just grinding up to the upside right now. Very clean trend as well. Held VWAP like a champ off of the open there.
Ooh, Broadcom's tanking.
Broadcom's breaking down below that VWAP right now. So yeah, just taking some shots right now. Here, this is. Oh my God. I go to cover part of the position and it defaults to my full size and I cover everything.
Win's a win.
All right, okay. So I'll try to keep a level head here. Where's the next trade? All right, whatever happens. It is what it is. I like my 350 average, dude. I like my 350 average.
Same stock, man.
It is, yeah, no, it is probably likely going to be the same stock. God damn. I covered 346 halves. Oh, no. Okay, all right, it is what it is. Where's the next trade? That was not so good. American Eagle, Google might be the other place as well. I'm going to keep an eye on AVGO. It's holding VWAP right now. Yeah, no, I'm just not happy about that fumble. And oh boy, look at LULU, man. We talk about what a trend break reversion happening here on LULU. So solid push all the way back up into 170.
Obi, what is dead may not die.
Oh boy.
What is already dead may not die.
LULU giving us that little bit. Wow, look at the market coming in real hot right now. I don't know if there's a 10 o'clock number, but yeah.
All the data was at 8:30 this morning, so we're not really, we're not expecting anything at 10 o'clock. But there's not a lot of strength. We're at VWAP on the Nasdaq right now. I did get that NVIDIA, but here comes, I want Tesla. On the pullback, I want to be long Tesla today. This didn't get to the volume weighted average price. I mean, the compression was at 348. It barely got to 349 on that last pullback, so it's kind of close, but no cigar for sure. And I just see in the chat Trip, and I want to remind everybody very quickly if I can. Again, it's not to call anybody out here or anything. You're mentioning Palantir. Throw the $ in there. When you type a symbol in the chat, just make sure you go $ then symbol. Because you just threw Palantir, which was not on my radar. It usually is, but wasn't today. And if you do that, then it's easier visually for us to see what you guys are interested in covering, or for us to cover. Right, so just let us know via the chat, pull in that $. I want to see if I can grab Tesla back through this 350 level. Do want to be long Tesla as the market tries to bounce off VWAP. Always interesting to see if Broadcom can come back, but Tesla has its own catalyst here.
Yeah, I definitely want it to come back.
Maybe.
So I want AVGO to come back.
Broadcom to go down.
Give me a better price to short. That's what I'm looking for, right? Come back up. That's fine. Oh boy, if this goes down to 320s like I was looking for. No, it's fine. 320 is that level from yesterday. Let's define some prices here on AVGO as I guess it's starting to find a little bit of a balance here at that 345-ish level here. So AVGO, let's see, that 345 is going to be a little interesting, but you can see right off of the open, nice little pullback in 320. Yeah, so these 320, where am I getting those 320s? You might ask. That's kind of some of these opening prices from the morning session here in the pre-market right here. So 327s, 326s, that initial push all the way up into 327s. And then 320s is kind of where we open at on the 4 a.m. candle here, pushing and breaking through that pre-market high right off of the bat. So yeah, very aggressive push. Definitely overextended, if I do say so myself. I like reversions. I like reversions a lot. And AVGO definitely is or was a candidate. I don't know about any more at these prices just yet, but definitely off of some of those 350s, that 357. Oh boy, shout out to anybody who had some of those sells. But yeah, that 350 was pretty nice. Holding below, I wouldn't say VWAP, because VWAP we were extended off of VWAP, but the average volume weighted price off of the open, it was holding that as a resistance a little bit there. So That's what I love about anchored VWAPs. Sometimes when the other VWAPs are, not really giving you that much direction, sometimes that anchored can really come in clutch and be like, all right, I want to know what the average participant from this point forward is doing.
I think some of the advantages to that too is not everyone's looking at it. Like not everyone's
going to look at
VWAP.
Exotic VWAPs, not a lot of people are looking at them.
Very quickly, NVIDIA is now screaming to the upside along with the market, so it just blew out 168.5, the prior market, the pre-market low. We're about to go to Adara, so we're out of that. Tesla, we were able to pick it up at 350. Somehow got 349.99 as it was breaking up, but that's fine. I want the high of the day here on Tesla as the market's right back into the top. Adara?
Just keep an eye here on said market. We have comments coming from Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer. He's saying that Democrats are going to be, quote, forcing votes in the coming weeks to reverse Donald Trump's import tariffs. And they're actually using that Friday jobs number as the impetus or the catalyst there for that. So again, after this jobs report, we do have, the suggestion that Democrats are going to be forcing some votes against the tariffs. We also have, apparently, Trump is expected to issue an executive order as early as Friday. It's not market related. That's, I think, what this executive order is going to be at 2 p.m. I just saw that come through. Again, no numbers at 9:45, no numbers at 10. Back to you.
Thanks to Darren. That's right. We're out of numbers for the rest of the day. But hey, that doesn't mean you're not going to have headlines, and it doesn't mean you're not going to have action and movement. Tesla went 50 to the top. That was my plan. Buy the dip and play it into the high. Sometimes it goes further. Other times it looks like genius to get out, but that's just my play. I was looking for that $3 move, and then we'll play the next available dip. We try to go station to station as really what's going on with this market. The Nasdaq, just keep an eye on this because the Nasdaq has now wicked the top 23.9 3 times on this 15 minute if you count the pre-market, and then we dipped right into VWAP and held it on a dime. So that gives you a sense of where things want to turn. As the market was getting low, that's why I said I want to get into Tesla as the market's bouncing off VWAP, because I figured Tesla was going to move more than, obviously it's going to move more than the overall market. But the same thing, when we get to that high, anything that I like short, which might be NVIDIA 172, give a look to AMD. AMD's much weaker than NVIDIA. So I kind of felt that Broadcom news, it'd be bad for NVIDIA, but it seems like it's much worse for AMD, which is down 4.5% and probably bleeding the most at this moment. And I don't know if you're back, it's not Broadcom. Broadcom is holding under VWAP as well.
Holding underneath.
It's still up, but it's been trend down since the open. There's very little about this Broadcom chart at the open that isn't suggesting a lot of profit taking. I'm just going to cancel Open Door. That's actually top of the list right now by far for what you guys are interested in. It's not even close. It's Open Door, and then it's like everything else is half. NVIDIA, LULU, Broadcom, Tesla, AMD, all of which we've covered, except for maybe Lululemon. I do want to be into Open Door. I just didn't want to chase. I thought we were going to get that dip into $6 like we did yesterday. If we can catch VWAP, that could be fine. But it's that or get back into Tesla on the next dip. Because as long as the market holds the highs, I'm playing the dip buying game. Dip buy when the market gets to VWAP, and Tesla's the first target. And 350 still holds up as a level, at least for now.
Yeah, no, I'm watching this this Google here as well. Google's pretty strong to the upside.
Wow, Broadcom is
Okay, yeah, no, Broadcom was the one, man. This is continuing to fall. I covered way too early. I know I covered way too early, but it didn't really, did it give me a chance to get back in? Sure, arguable. It gave you that VWAP retest right here, a little bit of a bounce into 347s, and then that continued down into 342. So a nice little $5 down off of that VWAP retest as well. Let's see, there's a bit of consolidation here at the 340 as well. So let's see if that 340 can potentially come in here on AVGO, straight to the downside. Oh boy, what's going on, Adara?
Keep an eye here in ALTS. This is Alt 5 Sigma Corporation. This is a World Liberty coin / Trump associated stock, or when I say Trump, I mean his sons. And we do just have a post here on X from Justin Sun, who's an entrepreneur. He said that he believes that U.S. crypto listed stocks are an undervalued opportunity, and he said he's going to be buying $10 million worth of ALTS and $10 million worth of World Liberty Financial. Back to you.
Okay, there's another one. You got to be careful with those plays. All right, Apple. Apple's starting to Apple's starting to get lively again. If you're wondering why Apple didn't have a particular catalyst today, it's just about the Google story from a couple of days ago, and it's trying to break out above 240 bucks. But this is the best it's looked. So what I want to do is nibble here, because the problem is with 240 here is I don't know that 240 doesn't necessarily matter except for the prior resistance. You're actually catching underneath VWAP in 239.5. That seems like the key level. So just a bit of a shift in how I would usually do things, in which I'll take some here, but usually like one entry, but I'll probably prefer to get more shares underneath 240 if I'm able to get it. So I'm trying to grab some quarters, but overall, I'd rather get the bulk of shares underneath 240 if at all possible. And wow, Figma's still going. I'm waiting for this trend to break on Figma, because after shorting the bottom move, thankfully we're able to get a bunch out there at that 50.5. Figma is now trending up into that 54. So this could be the opportunity. Get a topping tail candle. I'll be short Figma one more time here. Market still pulling back here, will be overall. But AMD weak, NVIDIA meh, Tesla at the highs, Apple starting to look stronger. But I'm still looking to fade Figma, because Figma is a bit of a red to green story. And before I throw back to Obi, I've seen a bunch of people mention Hood, and I noticed SOFI is making a dive as well. Both these names in the red after starting out green with the market. So that fintech rally is not holding up. We're getting an S&P 500 announcement tonight as well. Aftermarket, we should expect to see somebody get announced they're going to be added. I don't know who it's going to be. We never know in advance who it's going to be. Last time it wasn't Robinhood.
Yeah, guys, so exciting news for Canadian sophisticated traders. Beta Pro by Global X Canada has just launched 6 new triple leveraged ETFs offering 3 times bull and 3 times bear exposure to the S&P, TSX 60, semiconductors, and U.S. Treasuries. Even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st, 2025. These ETFs also employ currency hedging to seek to neutralize U.S. dollar exposure, providing performance that may more accurately reflect the underlying U.S. equity indices. If you're a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca/3x daily to learn some more on that. So market, yeah, a little bit of a pullback, but pushing right back up here on the Nasdaq and the ES. A little bit of a wick shimmy dance happening here on the market. That kind of happened earlier as well on the economic number, where you had the strong flush all the way down and then bid right back up. A little bit of a bid coming right back in, aggressive bid to say the least here on the market. So we did break down this consolidation low on both the Nasdaq and the ES pretty aggressively on the Nasdaq, a lot more aggressively on the Nasdaq relative to the ES, but bidding right back up. 2-day highs is the ES. Will the NQ follow? That is the question, Neil. AVGO maybe finding a little bit of turbulence here at 343, maybe, but it's still very aggressive downtrend, right? This thing has been selling off. Just had to be short and stay short on this one off of the open. Kind of talked about it as well. Nice little gap up flush there. So similar move to that of, I guess, a little bit of a softie, right?
Yeah, Microsoft.
Microsoft had a very similar kind of move.
It wasn't up. Microsoft wasn't up quite as much.
No,
but it's a very similar move.
Yeah.
Speaking of, sometimes history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Palantir. Palantir just did that. Palantir's been doing this crazy dip buy scenario multiple times. We've seen this where Palantir dips and it's right at about 153 where the market comes in or somebody comes in and starts buying it up. This time way more distinct. Like it's been holding down there. This bottoming tail. This is what an extreme bottoming tail candle on Palantir, because the wick is $3 and it might actually, like the 15 minutes going to close up here at like 156. That is absurd for a blowout. So it's not your normal reversal pattern, but it does tell me that I only want to be long somewhere on Palantir and I don't want to take a breakout. I am in Apple, and we jump back into Fig on a trend break. Here I'm just going to show you Figma because I don't want to leave Palantir. Figma broke trend, shorted effectively here, out prior bar high, as usual. There's my trend line. I usually enter right about there, and then the prior bar high is where I want to be out on that 3-minute chart. So that's Figma, which I'm in for the second time. But Palantir just went red to green in a big way. Look, we feel like a long today. When I say we, I mean the market feels like a long, and when I see reversals like that, I don't want to chase this $3 higher. But if I can find something maybe on a dip to 155, or I can catch it just breaking VWAP, that'd be a way to get in. Apple still holding. I'm trying to add into VWAP here if I can. Here becomes a little bit of a dip. We'll see if we can add into this one going into the volume weighted average price. As we're resisting the $0.50, I want to build that long in AAPL. What else are you guys looking at here? Because I feel like we're trying to cover pretty much everything else. Palantir is going to fake, somebody says. Maybe. Maybe. But what I can tell you about Palantir is every single day it's had a bottoming tail candle since what is this, August 20th. Bottoming tail. Like there's always a bottom tail to the candle. How much it goes up, that's what's in question. But it's had a pretty distinct pattern with this. So if you can catch a good long, you've been able to hold it for at least a little bit. Maybe not all the way to the high of the day, but it's consolidating in this range. And when it's consolidating, it means there's no follow through in either direction. So if you can catch that reverse, plenty good.
Yeah, no, this AVGO seems to be wanting to come down even more aggressively. So probably going to just hop out of this one soon enough. But it's coming into its anchored VWAP from earnings right now on top of this 340 level as of right now. So I did start kind of dabbling a little bit here as we pull into this area. As of right now, 340 could be interesting here. Market taking still continuing to take a little bit of a pullback here. So we did pull back in pretty aggressively. So yeah, a little bit of a shake and bake, man. In this market, I have no idea what's happening here. We look like we're gonna be pushing up, and then we pulled right back in. So yeah, a little bit of an aggressive action here on the markets coming into the close on Friday. So yeah. We've had some solid, strong moves off of the open. Google's still going, man. I tried to get a little short in and around this 235 area. It's not having me at all here on Google. Still continuing to push to the upside very, very aggressively on the goggles here. So I like that. I'm going to continue watching this one here. I'm looking for the fade, I'll be honest. I'm looking for a potential reversion, but let's see what we do in and around this 235. Again, all-time highs for the goggles. Don't forget, all-time highs for goggles here, and pushing up higher, a little bit higher every single day. Market's also at all-time highs as well, so a little bit of confluence there happening. So don't want to fight. Setup. Yeah, I don't want to fight the short that much, but I do understand that reversions are a natural process, and I just have to be a little bit more of a sniper for some of those to potentially come in here.
Well, if you sniped Lululemon shares at the low, congratulations. Lululemon is now only down 15%. I know that doesn't sound like great when I say it that way, but it just bounced $10. That's way better if I say it that way. And apparently Hassett's commenting on the jobs data. Yeah, inflation is low, the economy's doing well. Well, you're going to get your cuts as well, so that'd be a big deal. Wow, that's a really good bounce for Lululemon. I like 161. Obviously, you had no chance of getting down there when it's screaming to the upside. But I did prefer a fade in Figma, but it just came in, and I always respect resistance turning into support, so I respected it here, trying to get some out in front of 53.5 as we're catching a little bit of a higher low. What is interesting, though, is the market is right back in to where we bounced before. The Nasdaq bounced before at 23.8, which was VWAP. Now we're pressing into the same area. So in theory, if we bounce there again, this is where you want your longs to start to play out and work. For myself, Apple, which is trying to hold VWAP, like that'll be the key. Can it hold the volume weighted average price as the market does? It's also prior day high where I want to be getting this to. That's a key level here on Apple. Tesla, you can almost forget about. I guess the best catalyst is paying Elon Musk because it's up 5%. And this has shown no signs. I thought with the market coming back in, Tesla could come back in and give us like 351 into the volume weighted average price. And it just doesn't care. Tesla's on its own burn right now. The same way you saw Lululemon doing its own thing, Tesla seems to be doing its own thing and not really dropping when we're seeing the market come back in a little bit here, Obi. And good luck to Big Play Ray shorting Tesla. 55, 360 is a level on Tesla, no question about that. So you might have, like, you're in front of some cover if you go to the daily chart.
Yeah, I'm just getting some of these stops in right now here on.
Don't raw dog it.
Toggle. Yeah, well, 235s coming back in here on Google. Market's pulling back here as well. So just looking for a bit of a turn if the bid has dissipated now. If it hasn't, that's fine as well. Willing to give it a couple of shots here to see if it'll come into fruition. Google's still very, very strong on the day. I just want to measure off of the opening low how far extended we are to the upside. I guess, what do I have here? About 1.5% off of the open here on Google. So pretty decent push there. 235 is just like churning. A lot of churning happening on 235s right now on the goggles. 340s holding on AVGO right now. So we did come down into that anchored VWAP and holding that anchored VWAP as of right now. So it really depends. I think I have a couple different anchored VWAPs. It really kind of depends on where you're putting it, I think. Again, just event driven. There was a couple events, not only the earnings event last night, but the secondary bid that came in after hours with the guidance. I consider that as, I guess, as not necessarily, like, yeah, I guess it would technically be a separate event because you had the initial move, the initial reaction, and then you had a secondary reaction as well with more positive, I guess, news being settled in. So I'm looking at both of those anchors here on AVGO. Let's see if it holds that 340. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. LULU is holding that was it 375? It almost got to 175 on Lululemon. 174.78 is the day high here on Lululemon. Nice little push. Trying to break reversion to VWAP. So absolutely beautiful follow through of that action happening on Lululemon. But what are you guys trading? I'm curious to know what everyone's looking
John
at here.
Del Segno put a new one in the chat here.
Which one is that?
UNH.
355.
UNH is on a tear. It's up 1.5. Sorry, check that. 1 3/4 to the upside. This could maybe. Hey, what up, Randy? Thank you for the refill on the coffee. Need that. Always got to get your cup of Joe in the morning. Appreciate it, Randy. Oh yeah, UNH, that 320, which has been resistance, it's chewing it up and trying to spit it out, and that's going counter to the market here, which is just be careful. I think the last couple of times, is when the Qs get back to the highs and resume, sometimes you've seen like the healthcare names pull back a little bit, so I don't wonder, like if the Nasdaq gets back up to the top and some of these tech names bounce, if UNH slows up for a little bit, because we've seen that relationship before. So I'd watch out for that in particular. But you got another good runner here on UNH. I'll have to make a decision because I re-entered. I should go back to UNH and finish the thought because hey, we talked about buying this one the other day. So I re-entered this after it held the 300 level and after we found out about Berkshire Hathaway buying it. But I'm kind of reminding myself that the last time I was in here or better, that it couldn't get through 330, and maybe I want to take some profits if you get 10% in a week. And I might just go ahead and do that in the middle of the day. UNH has a chance to get there. I'm very likely to throw an order out there into the mid-20s on UNH. So Apple just bounced VWAP, but now it can't get through the quarters. I have an offer in front of 244. For now, we're holding up pretty decently above that prior high, but I need it breaking higher, and the market is not helping whatsoever. Figma's doing fine, but it's the longs that are more concerning. Let's go over to Adara, time for happening now.
Yeah, right now what's happening with the market is a initial push up, but we are losing some of that steam. Let's talk about these numbers this morning. Non-farm payrolls well below estimates, but there's a bit of a silver lining here. They came in again at 22,000 versus 75,000 expected. But with this number being as weak as it is, and with the revisions being a little bit less extreme than the previous revisions that we got, there are even higher hopes that we'll get that 25 basis point rate cut. So that kind of explains that move there with regards to the market this morning, dropping on the numbers and then recovering to a great extent very quickly afterwards. Let's take a look at Broadcom, which is dropping really sharply here, though to be clear, it did gap up on earnings. What happened here was they nice double beat, better than expected guidance, and a report that OpenAI is going to be the mystery customer that they announced has a $10 billion deal for their chips. Then we've got Lululemon, LULU, here. Actually, much like Broadcom reversing its initial earnings reaction, they lowered their guidance for the fiscal year, guided worse than expected for Q3, and they have some concerns even about fiscal 2026 with regards to tariffs. And Tesla, last but not least, TSLA, nice push to the upside for this name. The new compensation package is apparently the company's urging shareholders to vote for it. This would include 12 tranches of payments valued at roughly $1 trillion if Elon meets all the milestones. Before sending you back to the guys, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at OGen. Each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., but there's still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Oragenics, OGEN, is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Oragenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more. Schedule a meeting today. Back to Neil and Obi.
Yo, Elon, can I hold $5, bro? Just saying. Just ask for like $50 million is what chump change, baby. Yeah, Elon's getting paid. That's great. They've got robo-tax. So you can already
Pay the man.
well, I think you can add the robotaxi app, or at least some people can. So there is some positivity coming that isn't just a pay package. But what's also happening is the Nasdaq pulling back a little bit here. Now we've lost VWAP, and we've certainly turned that trend that we had at the open. And part of it has to do with Broadcom. Like, Broadcom was the thing that's going to dictate how the market goes, and the market heading back in because Broadcom is heading back in. My last bid in Figma is going to be at the volume-weighted average price. It was a key price before. To me, if it was an exit before and it's VWAP, that's more confluence to take this trend trade at the 54 area down into 52.5, and that'll be my last out. Apple, again, just cannot seem to can't break through that high. So it holds VWAP. I don't usually average in, but I kind of gave the explanation. I wanted to have something on board and then make sure I get my price down to underneath that 240 level. Now I want this to hold some higher lows, because what Apple's doing, and these are all wicks down here, but you can sort of see higher lows and trending up while the market's trending down. So I'm in the right one. It's just a matter of, can it hold on? Well, can the market hold on A, and then can it hold on to its own trend if the market's able to hold on here? So Figma doing pretty well. And I know a lot of people are mentioning Robinhood. There's no specific story here for Robinhood, but it's bleeding. We just lost $100, down 3.5%. It's flushing itself down the toilet, and just be careful. You've lost someone's selling this at 105, and then the 50 period on the daily is a bit of trouble, and you could have a flat bottom break underneath $98 here on Robinhood. That probably means SOFI is not having a very good day either. Yeah, SOFI down at the lows, down 1% as well. So, they're getting bled a little bit, both those names. But somehow Apple's able to be at the high of the day. So I think that so far is going to be decent. And Lululemon, the parade continues. Now down only 14.8% and still going higher. They're buying the dip on this, and now it's starting to stretch that move out.
I like
I'm going to get a lot of
Lulu puns there.
A lot of use out of that one today. I don't really have much else for Lululemon.
No, I like it. I like
never
the action.
I don't own and have never owned a thing from Lululemon.
I was actually looking at some shoes from them. They look like they have some really comfy shoes. Yeah, like running shoes, to be honest. I needed to get...
You need to be in the running shoe game a while for me to trust... Nah. New Balance doesn't play around.
No, I understand New Balance.
So that's, I don't know about that. Wow, that was fast.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into the New Balance as much. You know what I was looking at? I was looking at those...
Figma hit VWAP.
Nice.
That was like a Josh Allen spike. I would never spike a football because I didn't play football.
Have you seen those ON shoes?
Sean's getting those.
Yeah.
Sean did he get a pair?
So
he got a pair.
I've been seeing more and more of them around. A lot of people talking like really good about them. So that was one of the options, and I was like, either those or maybe the Lululemons. But I feel like those ones definitely have better reviews.
I'm guessing nobody in the chat has bought Lululemon shoes, and that's just a guess. So okay, just everybody here, very quickly. I want you to type 1 if you've actually ever bought Lululemon shoes, and 2 if the answer is no. So don't say yes or no. 1 for yes, 2 for no, you have never bought Lululemon shoes. And there's a bunch of 2s. I haven't seen a single one. So I think my thesis is exactly correct. Oh, shoot, Matt. Oh, but he bought it for his partner. Yeah, okay, so that, that kind of doesn't count, Matt, but you did technically pay for them, so I guess you did. That's a lot of 2s. So, Obi, I'm going to suggest that based on the chat, I've seen 3 1s in there. So I'm just going to do some rough math in my head and say it was 97%. I have no idea. 97% of you have never bought Lululemon shoes. Maybe hold off on that for a little bit. I trust the chat.
Okay.
Unless they say unless you guys say bad things about the Buffalo Bills.
Oh boy.
And then at that point, you guys are just wrong. So yeah.
I want to know where you guys are trading here. I'm in this Google short as of right now. It's working out. Market tailwind is definitely making me a little bit lucky here on the Google, as long as that kind of starts to come in as well. We're almost at opening prices. We're at session open almost on both the ES and the Nasdaq here. What's the opening price on Google? 232.20. So I don't know if we're going to get all the way down there. 232.20. That's a ways away on Google. But yeah, what a nice little trip to the downside here. Same thing with AVGO. Where are my mags? Okay, so there they are. Nvidia is puking to the downside a little bit here. Apple is distinctly different, Neil.
Yeah,
Amazon hasn't done absolutely.
I gotta respect what just happened here on Apple.
Yeah, Apple. You definitely have to respect that a little bit.
No, so I'm just gonna follow a little bit of a rule of mine, because, oh no, where'd my chart go? And I just lost my Nasdaq chart. I think I just accidentally closed my Nasdaq chart. Okay, so I can show you I have another Nasdaq chart up I can show you this on. Look, the Nasdaq just lost the prior high. As that was happening, Apple simultaneously, which was going the other direction, wicked the top at 241, which was doing at 240.5. So I'm going to take my exit there the same way I took the exit on Tesla. You got to pick your spot the same way I took the exit on Figma as well, like Figma into the volume weighted average price for it to bounce there. And then Apple's still relatively strong. So it can hold on to these higher lows, and I can just try to buy back in on the next available dip. The other place it could hold is maybe this 240.5 level, and I can try to buy it back in the $0.50 range. So I think picking spots makes a lot of sense, because the market, while the market may have some clear direction, I'm just going to put the ES up because it's easier for me to go over. While the market might have some direction, I'm still seeing like some stocks strong, some stocks weak. But for the most part, if I don't have a short entry right now, I don't want to fight something. I can get out of some longs, but if I don't have a short entry, I want to make decisions to take profits and then be patient for the next opportunity.
Yeah, I think the patience really is very, very key. That's in my recent journals. I've just been writing. For the past 3 days, I haven't been having great days. I would say kind of got blasted at the beginning of the week, and starting to kind of get back into the groove. It was funny. Sometimes when I look at my numbers, I get a little bit. Maybe I think it's intrinsically. I got to call it ego, because I think it is a little bit of ego. Just looking at some of the numbers, and then whenever I look at numbers, the next few days always end up being a little bit red. I have no idea why. I think I'm just like, sometimes I'm feeling myself too much, I think, and it's not really something I should be feeling myself off of, which is, nothing too crazy. But
phrasing, maybe.
Yeah,
the phrasing's a bit of a problem there, but I see.
You get what I'm trying to say.
This used to happen. Anyways, sometimes you say that, and then I have like a memory of stories. When Sean and I had our own floor, there was a probably roughly almost 8 to 12 month period where like 60% of our floor's profits were made trading Europe and not actually North America. But what would happen was a very cyclical trade. So like it was what we were doing would go in patterns. And the worst scenario was if the office had done well every single day of the week, and then the biggest trade opportunity was on Friday. And if that happened, we were almost always going to get destroyed at some point in the next week, because what would happen is the next week would come over and everyone had made money Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Friday was the biggest percentage gain for the strategy. And then some point during the next week, almost everybody leveraged up. And so the next hit was always twice as big as it should have been, because everyone would leverage up on Monday as if that somehow meant something. Which is like, you should have just been putting 10% more on Tuesday and 10% more on Wednesday and 10% more on Thursday and 10% more on Friday. And then that way, when you put 10% more on Monday and it loses, it's not the end of the world. Well, instead, people would put the same amount every single day and then just double it up on the Monday. And the next thing you know, they take a hit and they lose half the previous week. So I think one of the ways you get around that is to
Yeah,
gradually, if something's working gradually, not drastically, but gradually increase your sizing. Anyway,
that's my issue. I just some of these things I'm like, oh, I have some data like that this can work, and I'm getting in at the wrong places. The trade does end up happening, and then I'm just way too aggressive. Can't really manage the risk there. Have to take stops, or just sometimes even like let it blow me out because I'm like, oh, the trade is there, which is really dumb. But yeah, no, that's something I do have to kind of fix a little bit right now. A little bit of turbulence happening in my trading there, but no turbulence to the downside here, Neil.
We're tanking
on AVGO and the market. The market came all the way back to its opening prices here on both the ES and the Nasdaq. We talked about what were those opening prices. Oh boy, we're coming slamming right back into those. So aggressive bid off of the open, shake and bake off of the open, shake and bake a little bit here, a little earlier, and pulling right back in. So a nice little chop on a Friday. Man, absolutely crazy. My question is going to be...
How was Apple at the high of the day? I guess I was wrong. The market's bleeding. I thought this would turn. Ah, well.
Google's kind of strong as well.
Never wrong about that.
These all-time high pushes.
It's so crazy because it's the only thing that's at the high right now. Even Tesla just lost the volume-weighted average price. It wasn't right about where to get out of that thing. Ultimately looking for... As I said, looking for the next opportunity. NVIDIA continues to go down. That's actually the only stock that didn't work out for me was NVIDIA, which is hilarious. Because I think I transacted at the right prices, or places I should say, just maybe not at the right time on NVIDIA. And that's the one that got away. And if you're looking at why if you're looking at the weakness of some of the chips, AMD is down 6%. Are you kidding me? Like AMD, this is a very distinct change in behavior for AMD. By the way, that wick you see of the prior day, that didn't happen. The low yesterday was like 57, so that's a bad wick. But this is a breakdown on AMD. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some kind of a test of 145. Yeah, that's nasty. David Rosa's in that one. He says so. Good, congratulations, David. That's a good-looking one. Congratulations. If you're short AMD. Oh my goodness. Lice interpretation, when you jumped out of NVIDIA, it started to reverse. You got in at that point. That is something that usually if I get a topping tail wick out, and it's like, what am I doing getting out right there? Jump right back in when it shows you the topping tail candle. That being said, I was at the moment, the decision at that point was like, I need to build long an Apple. And so I flipped to another stock. And that happens sometimes. Like you get away from one, you go to another. And if Apple had lost, I'd probably be a little pissed off. But, pissed off is, I guess, the right word. Yeah, YouTube can't do anything about that. I can say that. No, so I would have been upset about it a little bit, but you just got to be able to move on. At the time, Apple seemed a little bit more clear to me. So that's all you can really do. Figma seemed a little bit more clear as well. But this hood move, even Palantir. Remember how Palantir was bouncing? Yeah, that didn't last. Yuck. It is a pretty bearish start to the day, all because Broadcom decided to sell off. Remember we said earlier Broadcom was likely to be a barometer for the market? Well, we were gapping up when Broadcom was going up, and maybe put some whiskey in your coffee if you're holding the long right now as it falls back.
All right, guys. 14 years, 0 hacks, 0 excuses.
Nice.
BTCC.com delivers when others don't. Trade Bitcoin up to 500x, even Tesla, gold, and Forex. With smart copy trading, you don't just watch the pros, you trade like them. Regulated in the USA, Canada, and Europe, trusted by 6.8 million traders. Trader TV Live exclusive, scan the QR code or click the link in the description box for a 15% deposit bonus. BTCC.com, where pros trade, and now so can you guys. So, oh boy, was that wick real on the goggles? No, it wasn't. So some of these wicks coming in pretty crazy. Oh boy, man, this market is absolutely crazy, Neil. This is so intense.
You know what's
intense. Just shake and bakes. Like the bid coming in, the longs are getting rocked right now as some of the action literally reverts 100% of the move. I'm looking at some of the Mag 7s being like, all right, who's reverting 100% of the move? Alphabet hasn't done it yet. Tesla is doing it right now. Apple hasn't done it just yet. Amazon just doing its own thing. Microsoft to the downside. Apple to the downside. Broadcom to the downside. Oh boy, indeed. What is up, Adara?
Oh, hi. Take a look at the market continuing to drop. It is worth noting we've had some comments here from the U.S. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez Derrimer. She's saying that it's, quote, past time for the Fed to act and that the Fed needs to lower interest rates. So we have that commentary coming out. We know Hassett earlier also commenting just general idea saying that apparently inflation is not happening, the economy is strong, and the Fed needs to cut rates. So market continuing to drop here. So I'm going to let you guys know these comments are happening. Also, just a side note with regards to Trump, he is not expected to make any appearances intraday today. He is signing executive orders at 2 p.m. That is going to be closed door. So as far as we know right now, we're not going to get any coverage of that. But at 4 p.m. on the market recap, we will be getting him, I guess, making an announcement. It's not specified yet. I'll be covering that for you guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Adaris. The market is now at the opening lows. Both the Nasdaq and the ES are sitting at the opening range bottoms. Well, this is at that decision point. If there was able to find some short opportunities at the top, if there's any small bounce there's only one stock that's at a level that I was at least considering buying, and that's Open Door in front of the prior day high at $6. So this is in that range where I might have to put up a smaller lower time frame here. So I'm just going to drop it to a 1 minute chart and look for a bit of a trend break here at the bottom on Open Door off the lows. Adara, more news.
Yeah, now we have comments from Donald Trump himself. He just posted on Truth Social. It's a pretty short post, but I'll read it to you guys. Jerome, too late. Powell should have lowered rates long ago. As usual, he's too late. So again, just a lot of commentary here on the rates just happening throughout the market and from various Trump administration personalities, including President Trump himself. Back to you.
Oh boy.
Too late, too late. Well,
President is tweeting? Trumping. Truthing.
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 You're supposed to say truthing, I think we're supposed to say.
Trump is trumping. The truths are truthing. And the market
is dropping.
Is marketing. And don't drop that dantana, is what I said earlier. Huh? But the market is dropping the dantana right now. Okay. And by that, I mean the bids are getting absolutely smacked. So the reversion on Google is finally coming into fruition. So hey, yo, shout out to, I guess, Google for showing me that one a little bit earlier. I was searching for the next trade, and I found it on Google there.
I just have to give a round of applause for the puns that are happening right now.
Thank you.
Do drop that pun, Danan.
Thank you. I'll do my best. I'll continue searching. But AVGO, man, I'm still not happy about the AVGO. I was like, we had conviction. I talked to you about this in the morning. I had conviction for the sell. I had very, very strong conviction for the short. And it's like, what am I doing? Why am I not? You're 100% right. Like, what the hell am I doing if I'm not actually taking the trades that I plan on, taking the trades that have statistical edge? It's just. I just got to do so much better, man. Like ideas, execution, stats, ideas, strategies, whatever. That's all great and everything, but execution is literally time and time again the differentiator, and that's what I'm noticing over and over again. I'm going to continue kind of grabbing some of this Google as it trickles its way down. That is a pretty aggressive intraday drop right now.
Even Apple just round tripped it.
Yeah, Apple. This is what I'm talking about. Round tripping a lot of these names.
Who had this in the chat? I just saw someone say they got this. Gurev, shout out to you. You just took the top 241.28. Okay, how did you get the top? Could you? Oh wow, look at that trend break. Look at the acceleration on that trend break. The thing I got into was open because it was at a level that I liked, but what an unbelievable trend break, or a good catch there at that high, however you managed to get it, as the market's trying to bounce a little bit here. It's not a small capper because we've been told this. Actually, I forget at what price this gets under $2 billion market cap on Opendoor, but a little bit of a trend break on Opendoor. I want to see this get to the volume weighted average price here as we go to Adara, 1020. Let's get the small cap recap. I almost forgot what it was.
IWM trying to bounce right now, but it's pretty dismal, and this a crazy drop here to the downside from that push we got at the open. In case you guys missed it, the market, and especially the rate-sensitive Russell 2000, reacted the way it did because we did get worse than expected non-farm payrolls, but because of the extent of that move and the revisions being a little less worrisome than some were thinking they might be, we do have, I guess, this push back to the upside again. The rate cut expectation here is the aspect of this number that seems to have sent the market higher. Some of these small caps are making some notable moves. Let's start here with Pineapple Financial. This one giving up some of this initial move. They did, I guess, close a $100 million private placement for their digital asset treasury strategy. They're the first publicly traded holder of INJ. So these potential Nasdaq rules do not seem to be slowing down these small caps. Let's take a look here at KWM, K-Wave Media. Looking kind of similar here to what we saw with PAPL in terms of that push a little bit lower. But basically, their Solaire partners apparently have been selected to be the general manager to general partner to manage a roughly $28 million fund. So good look here for KWM. And last but not least, HOUR. I'm not seeing any news here for our loop. They have rallied in the past. This ticker is familiar to me. $116 million market cap, float of just under 2 million shares. So small float, fairly large market cap by small cap standards, and zero news. Back to you.
It's the stock of the hour over there. No, that deserves nothing. That was terrible. It's low-hanging fruit. It's too on the nose, as Sharif would say. But when there's no news on something, I get very skeptical. But wow, we were just bouncing. This market is giving it up. It feels like it's going to be a free fall Friday because I just had the bounce, and there goes Opendoor. I had hour on the brain. I was going to say another thing about hour, but now that Opendoor retraced, had the bounce, got greedy with it, looking for VWAP, and on the way back in, took a reload after I got some out, got in the shares I take off at 25, got back in at 21, and you're right through the lows. Take the L on Opendoor. Do not want to make this too bad of a bleed, but just to finish the thought on that small capper, that's already pulling back. Of course it is. If you don't find news on this, the way things are bleeding, I would be a little bit cautious because if this were to break trend, when you zoom it out, what happened the last time it failed $4.20 or in this area? Yeah, it went to 7 and then failed even the next day at that same price level. So this is clearly a bag hold area. If it fails this same little spot, 420 to 440, just remember this is what happened last time on the daily chart. So this feels like it's a little bit of a tipping point for the stock if it loses that trend line. My guess is I don't have locates on it. Nope, this is going to be a bit of a pay for locate situation here on this bad boy. So hey, you know what, everybody? You got something a little bit new over at Trade the Pool. You ready? There we go. Because we've talked about it before. Usually, if you want to grow, you got to risk more. But you know what? That's how it used to be, like I said.
Yeah, it's all good.
They're changing the game over at Trade the Pool. It's the new revolution in stock trading. You don't need a large deposit. Trade the Pool is built for any trader who wants to grow without putting everything on the line. Just small skin in the game, and you're trading with real capital. So here is how it works. You pay a one-time evaluation fee starting at $47, and that is your total risk. From there, you trade real shares, no CFDs, using company capital. Head to tradethepool.com or scan the QR code on screen for more information. Shout out to Trade the Pool there. And again, just this hour stock, I'm going to see what the locates are. I'll price them out. Doesn't mean I actually have to short this thing, but I am interested if it breaks this trend line because it's almost like an all-day trend. It broke out doing volume at 10 o'clock, and it's been able to hold the line very decently here. So if it breaks that trend, I do want short.
Yeah, no, I like that look. I like that look there. Trend breaks. I like trend breaks when they happen. However you're defining your trend. when that breaks, I think things can get a little juicy. It can either break and false break and come back in. It's kind of I treat it very similar to like horizontal support and resistance.
Yes.
When it comes to trend support and like trending resistance and trending support, you can have the same kind of stuff. You have breakouts, breakdowns, false breaks, shake and bakes. All kind of crazy stuff can happen there. But I do like trend breaks there. Just to give a simple one in the pre-market session today, Lululemon trend break. Very clean and tight. I was like, wow, this is a very tight trend on Lulu coming into the open, and it's very clean to the downside as well. And look at that, comes in and breaks right off of the open. Doesn't even take that long, doesn't even look back. Straight through 165s, some of these highs right there, taking out levels back to back, all the way, reversion to anchored VWAP, and it's starting to balance there as well. So it did revert very much to the mean off of the reaction from earnings here on Lululemon. So a great example of that one kind of coming into fruition. Broadcom, oh boy, this thing is continuing to kind of hold a little bit to the downside. Market's aggressively strong, trading lower and lower. I'm still holding on to this Google. I got a little bit lucky. Here's the thing, you know what I realized, man? I'm like, some of these trades, I get too aggressive too fast in terms of sizing, and then I kind of fumble and fall over myself. But what I'm realizing is some of these good trades, or some of the better trades as well, they give you the price action to add. They give you the opportunities to get more in, especially if I'm trend trading, right? Sure, this is a counter, this is a reversion that I'm taking on the trading it against the long, but guess what? Once the long is done, we're trending to the downside, and if I've taken the reversion to the downside, I'm trend trading as well. Right? I think trading reversions is still technically part of trend trading. Trading counter trend is still technically part of trend trading. It's in the name. But again, the nuances in and around some of those things a little bit different. Zion Lala saying it's not Google. Remember you say Google? Yeah, Google. Google with the L is the one, and I was a little skeptical at Alpha. Yeah, Alpha. Or I say Alpha for Alphabet. I was a little skeptical for Alpha coming back into its opening price at 232.20s. We're trading at 232.50s. Back through open. Is this going to give me a place to add on the stock? I covered way too much, way too early on this one at the 335 hold, and the market is quadunking to the downside today after some strong economic reaction there, and then I guess President coming out with some words a little bit later today, more recently, and then giving us a follow-through. We had already started slowing down. We had already started curling and kind of rolling over, and then all it took was a little bit of maybe a presidential truth or a seal, or however you want to call it, for that to fully potentially come in here.
Or it could have just been Broadcom.
Or it could have just been Broadcom, or it just could also mean that there are more sellers than buyers. That's always the case.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
There's more sellers than buyers.
You don't watch sports, but I've told the story before, there was a guy on Baylor. It was a college football guy.
Yeah.
He did that to a reporter who asked him a stupid question, and then he just literally, they're like, how come you guys got out-rebounded? He gave the definition of a rebound and then said the other team got more of those than us. And I'm like, it's true. And sometimes you don't have to complicate it. There were more buyers and sellers and more sellers and buyers. Like here with our, we took a mean reversion trade on Figma that worked right into VWAP. This one broke trend as well. And the prior bar high is at about 440. So I'm in it at 14 with my stop for 25 cents worth of risk and my bids into VWAP. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, there's more buyers than sellers. But when there's news or any reason, we go up to Adara at the desk.
You might have some more confluence for your Google short here. We did just get a story on this. Reportedly, Google's going to be set with that, or hit with that antitrust fine from the EU over their ad tech practices, quote, later on Friday. So later today, we could be expecting to get that fine. Now, we know last week Google got a little bit of a pop as we got some reports that this fine was going to be, quote unquote, modest. We're not clear what the details are going to be, but keep an eye on GeoOGL. The second I get any info on that or any more details as to when this might be released, how the fine's going to work, I'll let you guys know, of course, right away. Back to you guys.
Ooh, right back into the low of the day. But it's going to be a slap on the wrist. We already found that out. Yeah, we'll take, whoops, that's open door, which is still at the low. I meant to go to hour. I can only ever have one small cap, apparently, in my brain. So it broke the prior bar. I always try to keep it to the rules. Look at that. Maybe the right spot, but my stop on a reverse is always going to be the same. I don't raw dog it. Shout out to Anvil. Whoop, no, it's not Anvil. I don't know what that name is. Mail. Thank you very much. Please put the stock ticker bigger. We'll try. I don't know if I can. I mean, I already have mine pretty large. You're talking about me? Because I try to make this really obvious what I'm looking at on any one of my charts. So, if that's not big enough.
Mine are pretty big as well, like these ones here.
I'll do my best. I don't know if
it really depends on how you can see. Like, do you not? Let me know if this is too small. I can definitely make it a little bit bigger here, but I don't know. I don't know how we would get a pull for that there. But what is really big right now is the move to the downside, still sustaining, no real pullback up. We saw aggressive shake and bake off of the open there with strong selling that got wiped back in with a bid. I was like, okay, does this aggressive sell, is it going to experience the same kind of behavior that we get that aggressive bid to kind of wipe it back in? But oh boy, we kept on wiping down on this name here. So Google, a little bit of a gift here that kept on giving as it continues to come in. I have covered, I would say, over 90% of it now. I covered about 70% in and around that 33 halves. You can see a lot of exits there as we pull consolidation. But here's the thing, man. I'm like, all right, I like the covers in the view. See, I was already getting short here. I liked it. I started off small and I got much, much bigger. I would say 5 times bigger here. But this opportunity underneath and in and around VWAP definitely gives me the opportunity to get even more, 5 times here, maybe another 10 times here for an aggressive push down, and then moving my risk a little bit lower here as well because I do have inventory from much higher. But oh boy, here comes the day low once again. Opening prices coming in here on Google as the Nasdaq and the ES continue to bleed lower and lower. Which are the Mag 7s that are leading the way in terms of this sell-off? It is definitely Google. AVGO a little bit here, but that was more in the opening session here. This aggressive sell-off that we started to get came in around, 10 o'clock here? What happened at 10 o'clock here on AVGO? See, AVGO was already down at 242s. We dropped a little bit there. I got stopped out on that flush, but it's still kind of consolidating in and around that 340. So the sellers have definitely dissipated is what I'm seeing on AVGO as of right now. And oh boy, Neil, what chart is
It's not Mag 7, but it's Palantir. Palantir, oh my goodness. I can't remember a time when we've seen a morning on Palantir where it does this, that there isn't some kind of a trend break into VWAP, or at least close to it. This is, it's a bleed. The market, for all of this bleed, try to remember, the Nasdaq is down 0.14%. So when you're like, oh, it's doom and gloom, this is a Palantir down 5% story. It's an AMD down big story, an NVIDIA down 3.7%. Oddly enough, the only thing I was short, Figma, is holding up pretty well. Like Figma on that trend break is now holding the line here under VWAP. So I have this on watch for potential re-entry on Figma at the volume weighted average price. But the other thing I want to pay attention to is if I'm going station to station trying to pick in the next sniper trade, Palantir breaking this trend, it's already holding a bit of a bottom. If it can break this trend line, I'll look for a bit of a reversion on Palantir. And it's not like it's out of nowhere. I'll zoom it out. You can see a little bit better. Palantir bounced off this same level going back to the 25th. And if it breaks this, you've got 142 going to that big dump off that we had a couple of weeks ago. So Palantir, heavy sell, just like the market. But the percentage moves are crazy if you go to individual names relative to the 0.1 we're down on the Nasdaq. Some of that has to do with just how big Broadcom is and that it's holding up. And Apple's barely even red eye as well. Apple's pretty strong, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I was just responding to John in the chat saying, we all took profits in AVGO at the open. You were supposed to go short. Yeah, that's why I like the short, man. It was overextended to the upside in the pre-market. You had that euphoric run as well right off the bat. Did I actually go long initially? I got it. Actually, no, I didn't. That arrow would be yellow. That stop out would be yellow if I did. But all the blues are buys, the reds are shorts, and then the yellows are sells from longs. So that's that little bit of a bid coming back up here on the goggles. I'm just going to stay patient. I'm going to let it come back into VWAP. I'm going to let it do its thing. Again, I have insignificant size that I care zero amounts of on Google. If it gets back up into some of these higher areas where I can look for potential sellers to come and step right back in, and if we have confluence with the market, I like that a little bit better as well. But guess what, Neil? There are stocks that are still continuing to sell off right here alongside with the rest of the market. Nice little reversion potential happening here on LULU, but take a look at SOFI. SOFI, hard to the downside as of right now. And Apple not as much, but getting there as well. So you can see that pre-market lows coming right back in here on Apple. 241.32s are the highs. So we were talking about that daily breakout, Neil, that was potentially happening on Apple. It did happen. It did come into fruition. We did hold VWAP off of the open, and we did give a strong push. But that push failed to follow through the 340. And then the market, obviously, you got to respect the market tailwind as well. If the market's going to quadunk, well, you're going to have some of the mags that even if they are relatively strong, you can see it's still holding pre-market levels, hasn't quadunked, relatively, I guess, similar to the rest of the market, but Apple holding up quite well when compared to its partners there in terms of the Mag 7.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you may not be able to quantify what a quadunk means, but you can certainly figure out what is moving the most to the downside and the most rapidly with a platform like eSignal. And you can use them for a month for free, F-R-E-E. That's a price of $0 for the first month, if you can't tell. And it's an easy-to-use platform. You can trade directly via over 50-plus brokers. As long as the market is open, data is reliable. You can back test your strategies. You can find key levels. You can scan for opportunities. You can look at the imbalance locator. You can do pretty much everything you want. You can add and subtract. It's an entitlement-based platform, so you can make sure that you're using it to the best of your abilities and to fit your own particular trading strategy. And as I mentioned, first month free with eSignal. I use it. Many people here use it. And all you got to do is try it out. So shout out to eSignal, appreciate them, and start your trading journey. Scan the QR code in front of you right there. And for it doesn't really matter. You could be starting out trading, you could be an advanced trader. They've got something for everybody. Link in the description as well. Shout out to eSignal. Palantir broke the trend line, and it's not exactly, we're not flying here. We're slightly breaking out. We just got the $0.50, 149.5 into 150, and I'm kind of waiting for 151. I'm not even thinking about VWAP at this particular point, but I want to acknowledge something because Sharif just came in, and I noticed something because and hats off to Sharif for wearing that hat today, because I'll tell you right now, Sharif, I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. Everybody knows this because they beat my Bills in the Super Bowl twice, but y'all should have won that game last night. Dallas should have gone 1-0 and knocked off the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. That said, Sean and I had 6 of our 12 entries on Philly in the Suicide League, so we're happy that Philly pulled it out. But CeeDee Lamb needs to catch the damn football. You're paid to do one thing, to catch the football. And if he catches any one of those fourth quarter passes, I think you guys were able to push it in. Dak played a hell of a game. The defense was better than I was expecting, so kudos to you for supporting your team after an 0-1 start. It's going to be a long year if that's what you're doing in the fourth quarter, just saying.
Yeah. You know what they say, the best defense is offense.
Is a good offense.
Is a good offense.
Yes, that is true.
See, I know some
They do
about
say
sports.
that.
I know some sports things.
Well done, Obi. Appreciate that.
Oh,
What? Oh, go sports? Yay sports? Go to Adara sports? I don't know, but this market continues to bleed off. There's just almost no bounce as we're back. You know what? This is perfect timing because we're going to go up to Adara and see if there is a sector that is working because everything is falling right now. Adara?
Honestly, Neil, I don't really have an answer for you. The closest I can give you is health services, where names are up less than 1%. So health services might be our shining light here. Now, consumer durables here, TSLA up 2.6%, but well off its day's highs. Of course, Tesla to the upside with that new pay package for Elon Musk, CEO. Now, let's talk about the weakness because that is just a lot easier to spot. Energy minerals sharply to the downside. We know ConocoPhillips indicating earlier this week they're going to be cutting 20 to 25% of its workforce. Then yesterday we hear through a filing those layoffs are going to start on November 10th. COP leading the group to the downside, but energy minerals weak across the board. Utilities weak. Finance, really weak here. Schwab down almost 6%, guys. Then if you look at electronic technology, things become a lot more mixed. NVIDIA, AMD, GE to the downside, and Broadcom, which is significantly off its high of day, is still up 10%. Tech services, Microsoft and notably Palantir to the downside, but Oracle, CRM, stronger. So really, really mixed bag here across the board, unless it's finance or energy minerals, which are just straight up red. Back to you.
Good for you, CRM. Get it, CRM. Yeah, you thought the quarter was bad. It's holding the lows, so this might be, it's counter trend to the market, but this still has every bit of an opportunity to break out next week over the 50-period moving average, rejecting the 50-period. I always say one thing with regards to indicators. If you're going to rely on an indicator or use an indicator on a stock for a strategy, at least make sure that it respects that indicator. Like if I'm looking at, I own CRM shares. I bought them off this 230 level here going into earnings. So I'm looking for it to break out this 50-period moving average. I'm using it because it respects that level and has been respecting that level. Palantir was respecting the bid. It was. Got the $0.50 a couple times, but not anymore. And this is, you know the market is weak. This is how you know the market's weak. Palantir gives a good trend break. The buyers come in. It did try to bounce a second time off the same 149.5, couldn't break 150 and resumes a downward trend. Like it's a lot of times you'll see like an entry like this and we'll get a clean $1.50 move. Not this time. So we got to be able to get out of the way at times. I don't mind taking these shots, but I'm not going to sit there fighting Palantir as it retraces back into that low. We'll see if I can't get another sniper somewhere else. It might be open door. I say might, if only because it's at that $6 level. Tried one trend break, kind of a mixed result. They got some out and then stopped out, so it's pretty flat on that trade. But at the end of the day, it's still very much holding on. If it went steep trend break, this is now still trending back into prior lows. It's green on the day because it hasn't broken down under $6. Closed at $5.96. So this is the area where if you're going to go, like either we're breaking here, or you could see a retest of like 570 on open door. I still like this one to the upside. Tesla's trying to hold, but I feel it was so clean the long before. It was like breakout, higher low, hold VWAP and go. Now I don't, yeah, you could just be, oh, well, I'll go long off 346 here because it's consolidating, but then look at all the weakness at 48. Like I'm not really getting those good feels for the long on Tesla here to try to jump back into that trade. Don't want to force it. It's been a good morning so far, and we only got 15 minutes to go until we throw you guys over to the midday. But yeah, I'm not really forcing any trades in here unless I see something really good on that open door.
Yeah, I'm not really, I guess I'm not really opening the door to too much right now. I'm not really seeing too much.
You should always leave the door open, though.
You should leave the door open at times, but...
Great song.
Song? No idea what song that is. But Alphabet finally coming into its, well, it's been at its day lows, but finally breaking down. We're getting the fourth bar in a row of selling here on the market. So, oh boy, indeed. And we were talking a little bit about AMD in the morning, Neil. And AMD might have been another stock here that we had to get involved with much, much early on. It kind of showed us in the pre-market that distinct difference where the market was bidding up in the pre-market session off of the economic number, a little bit of a shake and bake, but bid up nonetheless coming into the open. But AMD could not do it. NVIDIA could not do it. And then right off of the open, straight quadrunk flush breakdown of prior day's lows here on AMD, as well as consolidation lows at that 156. What is that specifically? 156.62 as well. So a little bit of a breakdown of this multi-week trend that we've been having. Multi-week, almost about a week, I would say. Let's say about 15 trading days, it says here. 15 trading days-ish. Been kind of sideways in and around that 168, 170-ish level, down to 160, so about a $10 range. Coming in today, we finally break that range down. A strong quadrunk and a flush happening here on AMD. And guess what, Neil? A little bit of a confluence with relative volume, over 2.5 times relative volume coming in off of the open. We kind of mentioned this earlier on as well. When a large cap does something like over 2 times relative volume, it might be something worth watching, because large caps normally don't necessarily do that thing unless it's like an earnings, unless it's something extremely significant or planned. If it's doing it randomly out of nowhere, then there might be a catalyst or something like that, but I think it's distinctive enough for us to be like, all right, maybe we should have eyes on for a potential move, maybe really kind of think about it. So yeah, definitely a little bit of a continuation to the downside as of right now. So, Free Fall Fridays. Coming back in here on the markets, man, this spider straight to the downside. You know what was interesting, Neil? Some of these stocks that I pointed out to you in the morning that were really, really strong yesterday are continuing their strength. Some of these hard drive names.
It's you were looking at like Western Digital.
I was looking at Seagate. I was looking at Western Digital. I was looking at SanDisk as well. You can see very, very strong over the past couple of days, doing relative volume. But interestingly enough, the market is quadunking like crazy. But there is no sign. Sure, there are not many buyers, but there's no sign of sellers either. So well balanced is WDC. SNDK, SanDisk as well. Look at that multi-day run. A little bit of a strong relative volume yesterday, strong relative volume in the pre-market. Sure, there are some sellers, but still hasn't broken opening range low or pre-market low as well. I guess that's pre-market low? Yeah, that's pre-market low. Hasn't broken pre-market low just yet. Still trading above yesterday's high, so no real selling coming in on this one. And then STX. STX is the last one that I was looking at, Seagate Technology. So you can see multiple days of run-up. The hard drives are definitely being bought up.
I would think anything that hasn't gone yet, you might look for catch-up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I'm kind of thinking. Like,
you're talking about the catch-up of the bid?
No, to join the market, to flush.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, technically, that's what I was looking at on Google, because Google was the strongest out of the rest of the market, and as soon as that cracked and the market was already rolling over, I'm like, I love shorting relative strength.
That's what Apple did too. It was like once it finally cracked, it just wouldn't stop at all. And Dangerous in the chat just mentioned another one that was maybe one of the stronger load chart. Come on, Micron, one of the stronger chip names. Really? All right, let's just go to the 15-minute chart, because the 15-minute chart is so reliable, so strong. When it finally turned, it hasn't even given up the entirety of the move yet. So you look for a little bit of the catch-up trade, Sean Chin, not catch-up. And that reminds me, after I go over what I want to do with Figma here, I got to check out to make sure I have what's for lunch.
Ooh,
Joe's not here, but just because Joey Options isn't here doesn't mean we're not going to go over what's for lunch. No, speaking of catch-up trade, Figma has yet to do anything. This came in as a name I liked. Shorted at the open, shorted at the top. Now it's just hanging out VWAP. So if it's hanging out at VWAP, I'm going to short VWAP and just continue the play. It's underneath the prior low. It's down 5%. It's one of the better trending shorts in a general sense. The only person buying this stock is Kathy Wood, apparently. She bought a bunch more yesterday. But you know what? If you like a stock, you buy dips, right? So shout out to her for that. Mahmoud just woke up and saw you made $5K from SPX puts. What's happening in the market? So you know what? Honestly, it's very deep what's happening, and there's a lot of explanation fundamentally as to what's happening. And it's that the market be fallen.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's happening. Let's go to Adair.
The market's free falling and the U.S. dollar is dropping as well, though it is still within this very set range that we've been trading in for now almost a month on the U.S. dollar. That being said, we're at the lower end of the range. Let's see if we break below. If we do break below, we could find some support at the U.S. dollar around that 97.1, 97.2 area. But we're still quite a ways away from our low of year, which is around that 96.3. Let's talk about this economic data, non-farm payrolls. Lower than expected. Kind of a silver lining here, though. Initially, the market did drop when we got this print. 22,000 here, non-farm payrolls print versus 75,000 expected. So well below estimates. But this number being as low as it was really raised the hopes that we get a rate cut. And I want to talk about the extent of that increase. Bank of America now expecting 2 rate cuts this year. Previously, they expected 1. And guys, initially, what we were seeing here was a very small percentage of participants still expecting that rates will be held. Now, according to the CME Fed Watch tool, 0% of participants are expecting a hold. 100% of participants are expecting some kind of cut. Now, at this point, earlier today, we had about a 99% chance here of a 25 basis point cut. Now it's 85.8% chance of the 25 basis point cut, 14% chance of a 50 basis point cut. So this 50 basis point cut that we hear talk of from certain members of the administration and some Fed chair hopefuls like Mark Summerlin and David Zervos, now it looks like this could be a reality. And last but not least, Donald Trump has chimed in on the issue on Truth Social. Jerome, too late. Powell should have lowered rates long ago. As usual, he's too late. If you want a bit of a history on the relationship, I have several infographics on X at TTV Research that you can check out for that. But in the meantime, we have Neil and Obi. Back to them.
Yeah, well, if you're doing a 50 basis point cut as your first salvo, it's not generally a good thing. If you're now reacting to weakness in the labor market, the way things work, and my economics degree didn't do. I mean, I had fun in university, but you don't use it that much when you're trading on a daily basis.
I've never used my economics degree.
You don't.
Because I never got one.
Well, fair enough. That's well played, Obi. No,
but I've never, I mean, technically I have used my biology degree. Biology was good. Because there's a lot of, oh, I love bio. I love physics. I love physics.
Physics is good.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, physics is in everything. Physics is in chemistry, it's in bio.
That's
and then
why
you want to go even deeper,
science.
it's math.
The other ones suck. I hated biology.
Oh, biology is so cool, man. Biology is absolutely amazing, I think.
No, it's not. Stunk. No, but I say this every time biology comes up, I'll say the same thing. What you have to make sure you do is, put yourself, it's who are your friends and who do you put yourself around? So in biology class, I just knew where the talent was. My lab partners, my consistent 2 lab partners are both doctors now.
Nice.
Out of that class.
Yeah.
I knew, and trust me.
Good partner selection.
I knew what was up.
Yeah.
I know, trust. And I sat next to the dude who, in French class, I sat next to the guy who did French immersion. And actually, our good friend, he's going to be, I'm sure he's messaging me complaining about the market, because every time NVIDIA's weak, he messages Sean and myself. He's like, what's wrong with the market? You guys aren't buying enough NVIDIA. I'm like, no one told you. Anyways, I was going to say something else, and now I just got off track.
Yeah.
Shoot, what were we talking about?
Biology.
No, before that. Before we got into this biology
Physics.
thing. No, it was before that too. It was the economics thing. No, by the time you react, so the labor market, when it gets weak, it's too late, because it goes from like 0 to 100. Weakness in the labor market.
Okay.
It's like everything else can be gradual, but that's like 0 to 100. So a lot of times, if you're having to make the reaction of the quarter point and now 50 basis point cut, that's not good, and it's extreme.
So you're telling me by the time the numbers come out, it's already too late?
Well, it's basically like if this number here is too bad, and now you're going from, well, now we've finally decided to cut to 50 basis point, it's like a panic move that's not good for the economy. Just very quickly, Figma, I wanted to short VWAP, shorted VWAP, that didn't last long, risking about 15 pennies. And then Open Door did hold $6, so that's a better looking bottoming tail. At $6, so I guess we didn't wait for $6 before, shorted the pre-market low, or long the pre-market low. This time, distinct break of trend, holding $6 even. I didn't even get everything on the long, but it's already resisting the quarter. I'm gonna do what I didn't do last time. Last time I didn't cover this trade because I was greedy looking for VWAP instead of just playing it to each resistance zone. This time I'm going to cover the trade and just make sure I bank it, because that's what's actually worked today. It's just kind of going with the gut. And probably didn't get the Palantir out there, but also this market trying to put in its first green candle since the open. That's the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq has a chance to actually go back green again, everybody, which I guess you can't really call it a free fall Friday if we close green, but it has been mostly to the downside. But things are looking up. You know why they're looking up?
Why is that, Neil?
Because it's my favorite lunch today.
Okay.
Assorted, see, exactly.
Let's go.
You didn't even look. He's like, favorite assorted sandwiches. Assorted sandwiches, it's hard. You just can't mess it up. Usually we get, it says
best lunch.
There's egg salad, chicken salad, turkey roast, vegetable. Oh, there's no Montreal smoked meat or anything like that. But crudité served with ranch dressing and hummus, and fresh baked cookies. That's right, Ramin. We got cookies.
We got cookies.
Ramin
Ramin's like,
turns over, she's
cookies?
Cookies.
Oh boy.
Better believe we got cookies.
Ramin's
So-
secretly the cookie monster.
But no, you know why Ramin is not the cookie monster?
Why is
Because
that?
Ramin shares treats, not hoards them. Because she is a kind soul. I mean, Oscar. Why is everyone hating on?
Why?
Okay, so first of all, if you didn't hear, that was Fabian calling Ramin Oscar. Meanwhile, I'm Team Ramin.
Yo, Oscar's a
apparently
G.
all by myself.
Oscar's an absolute G from Sesame Street.
Is he?
Is
He a G?
He's a straight up G.
Yeah, he was a G.
Straight up G. You're like, you already know.
Oscar the Grouch bit for Chappelle.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, that was
That
good.
you've seen.
The Chappelle bit with Oscar. Yeah.
Yo.
Solid stuff. All right, so back to the markets for the next 4 minutes. Let's see here what's happening. Bit of a bid here on Google, so I got out of a little bit more here as we bid in. But I honestly want to get in a little bit more. But the market is extremely overextended to the downside. So this might be all she wrote. But AVGO might not be all she wrote, man. This is what I'm saying. This isn't a very nice downtrend. These were the two anchored VWAPs that I was talking about earlier. One from that second pop, and then one from the initial earnings as well. You can see we kind of consolidated. Didn't really. I guess we did kind of respect them. Didn't really hold as support on either one of them for very, very long. We had this for a little bit. We had this chop consolidation for a little bit here. Now we're trading lower. And I don't know where this anchored VWAP is coming in from all the way down in 300. It was at 306. But those anchored VWAPs, we're trading well below that and trading much below intraday VWAP as well here. That's in the blue at 343.30. So no real reversion happening just yet as well here on Broadcom. So yeah, a little bit of an this overextension was very aggressive. This aggressive push I think it was it in the pre-market? Yeah, it was in the pre-market right before we opened. I was like, oh boy, it's going to do the move. I liked the long, to be honest, potentially for a little bit, but I did like the short a lot more overall. And when it does that exhaustive move in the pre-market, I'm like, all right, well, just show me sellers off of the open, and I just want to get involved. And that's exactly how it potentially came in. Didn't really hold on to it, but I guess the next trade that I did find was Goggles, and Goggles looking a little bit to the downside here alongside with the rest of the market. So hopefully you guys have had a solid opening session there. Yeah. Beautiful shake and bake on the market. Nice longs to start us off. Beautiful, I guess, outlier reversion happening on the market and in a lot of other stocks as well. You see V-shapes, not only 100% reversion, over, I would say, a 200% reversion if you really want to say we broke down 100% and another measured move. It was looking a little bit like more of a measured move to the downside. So over a 200% reversion, you never really see those come in so aggressively and so much in a straight line. So good stuff there. Oh boy, there comes Google once again. That's more of a sell.
Back in the
so there are definitely more sellers than there are buyers in this market, Neil.
That is an easy thing to say. It's entirely true. Looks like OpenAI is not going to get the VWAP. Even when you, like I said, with Palantir, like even when you catch something on a bid, it's not following through the way that you would normally expect it to. It's probably the best way to put it. But 1 minute to go, Sharif's in the building, sporting his Cowboys hat. I got to appreciate that. And just a few names. We didn't really go over all of the earnings names here. Lululemon was tearing it up earlier. It's now under VWAP and a holding, consolidating under VWAP. This could give it all back. The stock went $11 from the lows and has a chance to give it all back here today. Another earnings name that was super strong, DocuSign. We forgot about this. Because we weren't going to trade it. Doesn't have the best liquidity in the world. Immediately failed that. Remember that 83 level? Immediately failed 83. It could head back to low. Only 5% up here for DocuSign, unfortunately. Not good. Herbie Cassie, why talk the market down but not short? I was short. I shorted Figma 4 times. And to me, getting out of longs at the right point is exactly the same thing. Like you're still selling into some weakness. I'm not looking. My rule for open, and that you could short, I guess you could short open here. But for myself, on open door in a squeeze play, If it's holding the prior day high, then the structure of the squeeze is still good. So over that $6 level, I'm still looking squeeze. And the thing about Open Door to keep in mind, this stock doesn't have to care what the market does. So I want to give it every opportunity or more opportunities to go. But I am trying to short Figma again, by the way. But it's 11 o'clock. We get assorted sandwiches. You get a Dara because Joey Options is in Uxbridge for a wedding.
Yep.
Hanging out with Randy, I suppose, or visiting Randy in Uxbridge. And you'll get a Dara and Sharif, the Dallas Cowboys fan. We'll see you too.
See you in a couple hours.